The green flag flies, and it's time to drop the hammer.
It's 3 wide, heading towards the checkers.
Oh, everybody's crashing!
Side by side for the win!
He muscles him up and out of the groove! Now contact and around!
And this is gonna stack up about 15 of them!
It's 3 wide for 3 rows! Kyle Larson has pulled off grand larceny!
Unbelievable!
We are ready to go in Watkins Glen, New York. It is road course racing time again in the NASCAR Cup Series, and we are all in a New York state of mind as we come for our once-a-year trip to Watkins Glen, New York. Hello, one and all. I'm Matthew Owens. Our Ultimate Sports Racing team welcomes you to Watkins Glen. Thanks for having us in for the race. Matt White comes up in just a moment. The NASCAR Cup Series 2026 season has seen a little bit of everything to this point. It's also seen one road course race to this point of the season. Now it's road course race number 2 for the Cup Series after their run early in the season in Austin, Texas at Circuit of the Americas. Now it's a historic road course that's been around for many, many decades here at Watkins Glen that takes center stage. Now, yes, if you are a long-time NASCAR fan, you know well that Watkins Glen normally isn't this time of year. This is as we learned this week, a one-time thing. We are one and done racing at Watkins Glen in the month of May, but this is certainly a first-time Mother's Day May weekend event for the folks of NASCAR. So, second road course race of the year, as I mentioned, it is race number 12 of the season, which means when the checkered flag falls here this afternoon, we will be 1/3 of the way through the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season. Amazing how fast it goes by, even though we talk all the time about what a long season it truly is. Let's take a look at the championship standings so far through just about a third of the year. Tyler Reddick continues to have a large bulge at the top of the championship standings. He lost exactly 1 point to second-place Denny Hamlin at Texas last weekend. Chase Elliott was the big winner in the Lone Star State last week. He jumps up to third, still 117 points back. Then it's a long way back to Ryan Blaney in fourth, and Chris Buescher now moves up to page 1 of the championship standings rundown. Carson Hocevar had another big weekend. He's up to 6th ahead of Ty Gibbs, Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski, and William Byron. You got a couple of former Watkins Glen winners on page 2 here with Larson and Byron, but they're both winless so far this season. Darrell Wallace Jr. has really plummeted down the standings the last handful of weeks. More on 12th place Ryan Preece in just a moment. Christopher Bell scored all of 1 championship point in Texas last week, meaning that he fell to 13th, and look how many points behind the 20 car is many people's pick to win the championship this season. Daniel Suarez had such a strong weekend in Texas. He is now not only 14th, but he's well above the Chase cut line with Austin Cindric with him. And then at the cut line, it's Chase Briscoe holding the final provisional spot in the chase for the Cup. He is 6 points ahead of Joey Logano. He's 13 ahead of Ross Chastain. Shane Van Gisbergen in 19th is the undisputed king of road courses in NASCAR right now, and he could use a big day here today. He sits 33 points below the Chase cut line, and even further back is A.J. Allmendinger, who is also a former winner at the Glen. Maximum point gain possible in one race is 75, so many positions can still change by the end of the day. I bring in my guy Matt White, and Matt, when you look at these championship standings, normally we start at the top, but let's start right where we are, page 4. Chase Briscoe has jumped back inside the Chase cut line. Joey Logano is below it now. It's been a very poor start to the season for Logano, and then below him you've got 2 former Watkins Glen winners in Shane Van Gisbergen and AJ Allmendinger, and Ross Chastain, who does have a road course win on his resume as well, coming at COTA 4 years ago.
Good afternoon, Matthew. Hello, everyone. Yes, plenty of shuffling again will happen today, and then after today, of course, we don't have to talk about points for a little while. So it's going to be key for some people, especially a couple of the guys there at the bottom of that page that we expect to be at the front today, and one of them starts on pole. That is SVG. He could jump himself well into the 16 if he has a good day today, and if he can pick up a couple of stage victories along the way, that would be very, very helpful indeed. AJ Allmendinger, always a threat at these racetracks, hasn't gone quite his way over the last few years, so he's hoping for a turnaround about that. Ross Chastain, though, he's qualified well today as well. As, to be fair to him, is Joey Logano, who I don't remember ever seeing at the front of a road course race, especially in the recent past. So any of those guys could make a turnaround in their points fortunes today, and that would be good for them going into a points off week next week.
Yep, just one road course win for Logano in his career. It came more than a decade ago right here at Watkins Glen in 2015. Kevin Harvick running out of fuel on the last lap and Logano getting through. So that's page 4 of the quest for the Cup standings, Matt. But such a big week in NASCAR revolved around page 3. Ryan Preece, a 25-point penalty was announced in the week after his quote-unquote coming together at Texas with Ty Gibbs. Those 25 points have been appealed. These championship standings that you are looking at now is based on him not losing those 25 points. Because it is currently being appealed, Preece has not yet officially lost those 25 points, Matt. So, as you can see right there, if they don't win the appeal, he would drop a position down to 13th and be much closer to the Chase cut line. Your reaction during the week when it was announced that Preece was penalized?
Well, you just have to think back to the end of all the images that we saw and we called during the race last week. It looked fairly normal, let's say. Much more normal than things that happened on the penultimate lap of the race, which didn't get a penalty, that being Kyle Busch and JHN. But the Preece-Ty Gibbs thing seemed relatively kind of normal during the race. It was only when, the radio footage came out afterwards that he said, if I get back to Ty Gibbs, then he won't be finishing the day, and that's exactly what happened. So a wild precedent perhaps set, which you kind of called at the time about this, but it seems to be, and NASCAR have gone with this, and if they've laid their line in the sand here, then that's what we're going to have to go with for the next few weeks and months. If something is said on the radio, then that's the call. So now everybody is going to be silent, you would think.
Yeah, it creates a very interesting situation, doesn't it? Because it does feel as if the penalty was given because of what Ryan Preece said on the radio. Now, he never said on the radio that he was going to go up and dump Ty Gibbs or put him in the wall. He said, I'm done with him. That's the line
right.
that he gave.
Yeah, that's right wrong. That is what he said. You're quite right.
And then he gets to turn 3, and he doesn't make egregious contact with Ty Gibbs, does he? As you said, it looks pretty normal. There certainly was not a right hook. It wasn't even a smash and grab, bump and run, dump and run. Honestly, when you look back at the in-car camera, it's not even obvious that they made contact. If they did, it was very slight. So my question, not only to you here, Matt, but to all of NASCAR, is that really what we want to be penalized? Because we've talked about NASCAR returning to its roots for so long. NASCAR is meant to be a fender-banging sport, isn't it? And I did not feel that that was anywhere close to, make up a word, penalizable.
Yes, it is a contact sport, but not egregiously. You think back to Martinsville a couple of weeks ago, Barbara Wallace dumped, is it Hocevar?
Yes.
From memory?
Mm-hmm.
Caused a big stack up?
Yep.
That was clear and obvious, to use a VAR term. That was clear and obvious. And he said afterwards, like the next weekend after, wherever it was, after Martinsville, I now forget, he said, oh yeah, rush of blood to the head, da-da-da. That was my bad, but he seemed to get away with that, even though he sort of owned up to it afterwards. So, yes, the days of have at it boys, which wasn't that long ago, seem a very long time ago.
Yeah, and I'm not sure we all want to be, just scanning the radio for every word spoken to determine if something should be a penalty. But nonetheless, 25-point penalty. It is severe. It's not back-breaking. And we'll see what happens through the appeal process.
But he only scored 28 points last week at Texas, to pick up. So he lost all. If the appeal is confirmed, or the appeal is thrown out and the penalty gets confirmed, he would lose all the points that he scored in that race.
Yes.
And a free.
Yes, absolutely right. Now, back towards the top of the championship standings, Matt. We talked last week. Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott had really good weeks, but they didn't gain a lot on Tyler Reddick. 45 just remains as consistent as anyone.
Yeah, another sort of didn't have a great day as a body of work for the day, but got a finish out of things with the tyre call at the end. And he's our most recent road course winner, of course, back at COTA in February, March. So got to be in the conversation probably if the race pans out for him. If he's in there with a shot at the end, he'll be in the conversation to take another win, or at the least a very good result. So those guys are going to have to, if they want to keep chipping into this points lead, they're going to want to be in front of him, if way in front, hopefully for them, but not certainly too far behind him once we get through the 100 laps or whatever, 110 laps, whatever we've got in front of us today. So the consistency of that team is remarkable.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So that turns the page from Texas and sends us to Watkins Glen, Matt, and you can see the racetrack on the bottom of your screen. That's the road course we deal with today, 11 turns. And back in the day when it was just 2 road courses a year, when it was Sonoma, or then called Sears Point for you old heads like me, when it was Sears Point and Watkins Glen, the only 2 road courses that we had, Matt, this was called the super speedway of road courses. And the reason for that is because there are long straightaways and there are incredibly high speeds on this racetrack, which we'll show you in our virtual lap around this 2.45-mile course. And this front straightaway is deceptively downhill. Heavy braking, 90-degree right-handed turn, but pause the tape, Matt, because this year, versus in past years where cars would run all the way to driver's left towards that sky blue guardrail, that is no more this year.
Yeah, we've got some track limits, which, as fans of these broadcasts will know, I'm a big believer in track limits, and we've got some back for this race this weekend. Tyre bundles, 4 of them stacked on the outside of turn number 1 to stop people going way down there and basically going far faster through the apex of the corner than is necessary, and using all the runoff to power their way up the next part of the racetrack up through the S's. So that's going to be interesting, especially on starts and restarts, which are always pretty chaotic here at the best of times anyway. And it's going to provide some action, not just at the first corner, but other places on the racetrack too.
These 4 tire bundles will be on what is the left side of your screen as you're looking at it. Pack 1 is 11 feet off the racetrack. Then the second pack is 9 feet. Packs 3 and 4 are 6 feet off the racetrack. So they do narrow down to keep drivers from using all of that runoff space to drivers left in turn 1, which used to be covered in grass and gravel. When you come out of turn 1, the car gets very light, as you saw right there. And look on the curbs, Matt. Ty Gibbs door slamming us as we go up the hill through the S's. Fastest portion of the racetrack right here. And look how narrow it is with those guardrails both right and left.
Yeah, there's a tunnel under the racetrack there. That's why it is so narrow. But it's not very much wider anywhere else. And we power up to one of the fastest points on the circuit. Good overtaking spot as shown here. Picking off 3 on our way into the bus stop or in a loop. But as we've seen throughout the weekend, It is fairly treacherous through there. That's where the choose marker is. And then we're into the long right-hander of the carousel.
This carousel is off camber. Two different ways you can take the carousel. You can dime in the corner or you can hug the curbing at the bottom. We'll pause the tape again here, Matt, because as you can see, all the competition ahead of us and behind us are going wide to drivers left out of that carousel. You can still do that, but this is the other portion of the track where there are track limits. You can still go to the left of these curbs, but not nearly as far as you used to be able to.
Yeah, big accident here in the Xfinity race last year kind of sparked this. We've had a few accidents, haven't we, coming out of this corner over the years. There was the big one with Jeff Gordon and Jeff Burton many years back as well. This is where the short course comes through. If you're looking at the screen there, the barrels on the left, to the left of that is the long track, which is used for the sports cars here, the 6-hour race, which happens in a few weeks' time. Well, we take the NASCAR short course down the chute, which again is very narrow, very fast.
Yeah, the track limits here at the carousel, it's a 255-foot long tire wall, which narrows. It starts 20 feet off the track and ends about 6 feet off the track. If you violate track limits at any portion of the track in those two areas, you will have to serve a stop-and-go penalty, not in pit road, but in the inner loop. You'll just cut the inner loop, come to a full stop, and start again. Those are the only two portions on this racetrack where there are track limits, aside from if, of course, you do miss the inner loop. We didn't need tire barriers there to tell you that you've missed the inner loop. Out of the carousel, you'll accelerate down the second longest straightaway on the course, and then, Matt, two heavy braking 90-degree corners again. Left-hander here, plenty of runoff space to driver's right. You can use all of that, no track limits there, because mostly you don't need to be going all the way to driver's right because you've got to quickly come back to turn 11, and A.J. Allmendinger squeezes us on the exit.
Yeah, that wall comes up at you very fast there on the left-hand side, and it's a very tricky pit entry that you kind of got a glimpse of there as well. It comes to green flag pit stops today. We have seen some action at pit in over the last few years as well. It was last year, wasn't it? We had a crash at pit in during one of the races. So yeah, plenty of traps, not gravel ones though, to catch the drivers out this afternoon.
So that is a lap around Watkins Glen International here in New York, a road course that has been run on by some form of motorsport for well over half a century. They used to run on the countryside here in this portion of the country, which isn't far away from Seneca Lake. We're in the Finger Lakes region of New York. It is a calm and serene portion of the country. But for 1 week each year, it is awoken by the noise of NASCAR stock cars. And of course, as Matt mentioned, IMSA comes here in the summer for the 6-hour race. There's been many famous racing series and racing cars around this racetrack. IndyCar ran here for a number of years. Absolutely no reason for them to still not be here. Formula One was here for so very long as well. This is truly one of the great historic road courses in American and really world motorsport. Now, that racetrack that you just saw us run through, 11 turns. That's 11, not 7. We know how to count around here. 11 turns, 2.45 miles, Matt, and once again, as it normally seems to be, the one that got around here the best yesterday in qualifying was Shane Van Gisbergen. He is, by a mile, and that's basically what he won this race by last year, a mile, he is by a mile the favorite today.
And more than a mile, he won out, of course, at Charlotte on the Roval at the end of last season. Yeah, he's the favourite, and he's adversary from the first stage, at least, of the Chicago Street Race last year, Michael McDowell, alongside him on the front row. Couple of people up towards the front end of the field that you would perhaps put in the ringers category. Austin Cindric third, and Connor Zilic, who needs a good result and managed to get round and win yesterday without damaging himself in victory lane. More on that later. So a couple of guys up towards the front end of the field that we would expect. A couple of people towards the back end of the field that we might not expect on a week-to-week basis, but there will be plenty of comers and goers as this race goes through, especially with the stage cautions.
No doubt about that. Adam Limeris is with us in the chat section, and, well, a really good turn of a phrase here for the Go Bowling at the Glen, hoping for a striking good race, no spares attached. picking SVG to
You
win.
know, Adam's a big bowling man,
Big bowling person,
he'll
yeah.
bowling fun.
Adam says, by the way, Matthew and Matt, what's your highest game in bowling? I swear my highest game was probably a 60. That's
Mine is probably over 100, but I couldn't tell you a precise score.
I couldn't bowl to save my life.
I've had a 200.
Look at it. Wow, look at him go.
Look at you go.
My goodness, yes. Much more tennis and pickleball around here with the occasional golf before bowling for me.
Double back-to-back pickleball champion here.
Well, yes, and we will face off one day in the Ultimate Sports Derby.
Pickleball Championship Cup.
Yeah. We'll just do a round robin, Seth, Matt, JT, me, JB. Yeah, we'll just have a load of fun.
Yeah.
Hello, by the way. I forgot to say hello. And as James May always says, you've got to start with hello.
And Johnny in the comments says, and this is a question for you, Matt, how do you think the 45 will do today?
Well, as I said before, you know, he's been very consistent throughout the season and won at Kota. I think he'll be, if everything goes swimmingly to plan in his world for the next 3 or 4 hours, he'll be well inside the top 10. And if he's ahead of Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott, then that's more padding of the points for the 45.
Yeah, absolutely. We will certainly watch for Reddit to be a contender here today, no doubt about that. A lot of contenders, though, Matt, aside from Shane Van Gisbergen. Yes, he is the heavy favorite. Doesn't mean that this necessarily has to be a runaway for him, does it? There are many other really skilled road course drivers in this sport. Talk about Christopher Bell, who's ran so well here in the past. Connor Zilic, who does nothing but win here in the Grand National Series. He's got his best starting spot today, which you'll see in the grid in just a moment. And Ty Gibbs, who very easily could have beaten Shane Van Gisbergen heads up at the road course in Mexico City last year.
Yeah, indeed so. A couple of others a bit further down Reddit. We mentioned Dakota winner. Daniel Suarez is handy on road courses, and he's having a great season so far. Kyle Larson's won here and starts a little bit further down. Denny Hamlin hasn't won on the road course for many years, but he could put himself in conversation perhaps today. As can Brad Keselowski. He's had a really, really good run, and of course was part of that most famous of NASCAR Cup Watkins Glen finishes a few years back.
Yes, absolutely. So, those are just some of the contenders to perhaps rip victory away from Shane Van Gisbergen. Didn't even mention Michael McDowell, who will start with him in the front row. McDowell, of course, led so many laps at Chicago on the street course there last year, and he has a past road course victory himself at the Indianapolis road course from a couple years back. So, a lot to look forward to here today. And something else to look forward to here today, Matt, is the weather. When we were here last August, which is the quote-unquote traditional Watkins Glen date, it was over 90 degrees. We're not even close to that today. We are at 63 degrees. It is a full 30 degrees cooler than it was last time we were here. There was rain in the forecast for today for most of the week, but as the week has gone on, those rain chances have dissipated. So rain more than likely not in the cards today, Matt, but what is those cooler temperatures. Does that affect anything at all, you think?
Well, no rain in the forecast would be beneficial for the supporters out in the grandstands and in the parking lots. If you've seen what's been happening on Twitter this week, they want it to be as dry as they can so they can get out later on tonight. I don't think we'll see anything drastically different with it being cooler. We might see a little bit less tyre wear and the track being less slick. But with the rain that we've had in the week, if you go off and get in the grass, that could be a problem for you, as we saw with Sheldon Creed in the O'Reilly race yesterday.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, we had a lot of torn-up splitters in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race here yesterday. Well, we just gave you a whole bunch of ones to watch. How about we give you the actual ones to watch with a little bit more analysis to it?
It's road course season, and that means one man comes up in the discussion, and he starts on pole position today. That is Shane Van Gisbergen. He won here last year, and in a dominating fashion. In our one road course so far this season, he was beaten to the flag at Kota by Tyler Reddick. Be out for redemption on that today, and to double up in his Watkins Glen mantelpiece.
The start to 2026 has been good for Christopher Bell, but not great. And greatness is always expected from Bell and the 20 team. Last week at Texas, he was leading late in Stage 1 before he got swept up into a crash with a lapped car. Despite that disappointment, perhaps some front-running confidence can be taken into today's race at a track where Bell has finished inside the top 10 in 4 of his 5 starts. And in 7 of the last 8 road course races, Bell has been one of the top 5 finishers.
It's been a struggling start to the season for Team Penske in 2026, as we've documented well over the last few weeks. They could turn their form around today with a road course win. And a man that has been talked about as a natural successor on road course victories ever since he stepped up from what was then Xfinity Series was Austin Cindric. All the Team Penske cars start inside the top 10 today, with Cindric on the second row. Got his first Cup Series win, turning left and right beyond the post today.
A.J. Allmendinger has always been known as a road racing master. His first win came here 12 years ago in an iconic duel with Marcus Ambrose. All those years later now, Allmendinger is still a pre-race threat on the right and left turn courses. He has 3 road course wins, and Watkins Glen is perhaps his best road course racetrack. He and Colleague Racing have high hopes that Watkins Glen will once again be a target-rich environment for career win number 4. Those are our ones to watch today here at Watkins Glen. Now let's take you through the starting grid set yesterday during qualifying, where Shane Van Gisbergen won the pole, starting on the front row for the 6th time in the last 7 road course races, alongside Michael McDowell, who has 4 top 5s in the last 6 road course events. Austin Cindric and Ross Chastain make up row number 2. Chastain, a former winner at COTA. Connor Zelich scored his 3rd straight Grand National Series win here at Watkins Glen yesterday. He's in row 3 with Joey Logano, the 2015 winner. Ryan Blaney led 35 laps in this race a year ago. He's in row 4 with Christopher Bell, who's never led a lap here. Chase Briscoe, 5th here a year ago, in row 5 with Ty Gibbs.
Row 6 is Carson Hocevar, the winner from a few weeks ago, and one of our ones to watch, A.J. Allmendinger in the 16. William Byron is back in the 24 on row 7 alongside Chris Buescher, who won here a couple of years ago. Tyler Reddick is in the 45, our points leader in row number 8 alongside Daniel Suarez for Spire. John Hunter Nemechek in the 42 lines up alongside the Hardy's colours this week for Bubba Wallace in the 23. Cole Custer is next up in the 41 alongside Denny Hamlin. Then it's Kyle Busch and Todd Gilliland in the 8 and the 32. Kyle Larson in the 5 is on row 12 alongside Eric Jones.
And then Austin Dillon and Brad Keselowski, who's twice a runner-up here in row 13. Row 14, Chase Elliott. His first win of his career came here at Watkins Glen. Alex Bowman, a win on the Chicago Street Course a couple of years back. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in row 15 with Ryan Preece, who's from the Northeast. Ty Dillon in his 33rd career Cup Series road course start in row 16, along with Riley Herbst, who's been top 15 in 2 of the last 3 races. Zane Smith, 5th here 2 years ago, lines up in row 17 with Josh Berry. Row 18 is Noah Gregson, in Greensboro, North Carolina's Cody Ware. And in the final row of the grid, Josh Balicki, a road racing instructor in Wisconsin, and Catherine Legg makes her 8th career Cup Series start. And that is the starting grid for the Go Bowling at the Glen, which today, Matt, will feature 10 more laps than it has ever seen before. This is a 100-lap race that's just under 250 miles, 400 kilometers. Because of the different length of the race itself, we also have different stage lengths. That could affect strategy today. 20 laps the first stage, 30 laps the second. The final stage, 50 laps, that's quite a while on a road course. William Byron broke the track record here by more than 7 miles an hour in his win here in 2023. And a theme of this season, Matt, has been a lack of yellow flags, and we haven't seen many here in the past handful of years at Watkins Glen either.
No, perhaps not. But as we talked about earlier on with the narrowing of the racetrack in places today, that might produce some action and yellows if someone gets in one of those tyre bundles in enough of a way to knock them out of position or indeed over. then that will certainly bring a yellow flag while NASCAR right that wrong. So we could see a few of those. Let's have a look at the whiteboard for this afternoon. It is going to be, if we get green flag running towards the end of stages, is it going to be about stage points or track position? We saw Shane Van Gisbergen throw that out the window when he won at Sonoma last year by winning stages and the race, even though he pitted. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, depending on how the gaps are laid out throughout the top 10 and beyond. The end of the stages, we'll see what happens. A lot of cars on the lead lap, and that will happen if we don't get cautions, I guess, and we don't see that much lappery here. That could lead to costly mistakes for some people that have qualified somewhat badly. Someone like Kyle Larson springs to mind, who will want to come through the field today, but if he's further back and gets involved in someone else's mess, he's down in the point standings and he's down in the field at the moment as it stands as we go to the green. And the weather, of course, has been a talked about discussion all week, but as we were just talking about before we did the grid, and ones to watch, seems like, fingers crossed touching wood, we've got away with it. But it's a road course, so they'll just bang some rain tyres on and carry on if needs be.
A lot of conversation about this race moving up to May, away from its August date. There was an announcement earlier this week as well, Matt, that this is just a one-and-done year for this. Watkins Glen will move into September on the calendar next year and will be a part of the 10-race chase for the championship.
Yeah, so this year we don't have a road course in the chase because we know that Charlotte is going away from the Roval. The Roval is no more. And we're going to be back on the oval track for 400 miles at Charlotte in October. But now we're going to have Watkins Glen back in the chase, as it was in the playoffs, of course, a couple of years ago here, when Chris Buescher got his win out dueling Shane Van Gisbergen. That was 2 years ago at this racetrack at the end of the year. So at least that is good news that we have got. I mean, we should have at least one road course in the chase.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone can agree on that. Despite the change of the date, it is still a great crowd on hand here this afternoon, and it's been a great crowd all weekend long. If you came to Watkins Glen for NASCAR Weekend 2026, Matt, and you didn't see enough racing, that is on you, because this is the fourth race of the weekend. ARCA and the trucks were here on Friday. The Grand National Series here yesterday put on a great race. Cup today, a quadruple header weekend for the racing fans in the Finger Lakes region of New York, and we're ready for the crescendo here today with the Cup Series, and we are excited for it. We're also excited about it being Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all you moms out there. Here's the lame joke that I heard at church this morning. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't be here. I'd get that out of the way now. That is not the dad.
That's the reason.
Not my dad joke there. That was someone else's. I can't lay claim of that. But yes, happy Mother's Day to all you moms out there stateside. And, you know, it's not Mother's Day in Matter JT's part of the world. But happy Mother's Day to your mothers as well.
Yes, in the weird way that the world does Mother's and Father's Day, why we can't just have them all on the same days? We've talked about this for a long time on this network in its various guises. But indeed, happy Mother's Day. If it is Mother's Day in the part of the world that you are listening to us, happy Mother's Day.
Indeed, yes. We cover all of our bases around here, and very happy Mother's Day to my mom, who, of course, is, well, not watching. But hope she has a good Mother's Day anyway. So, just about ready here for racing in Watkins Glen, New York. As we talked about, this is a historic road course, a who's who of racing series, racing cars, and racing drivers have run here on this racetrack in years past, Matt, ever since its humble beginnings back in the 40s. And it's so great to see that even though IndyCar has gone away, and even though Formula One has gone away for quite some time here, it is still great racing weekends to see when IMSA and NASCAR comes around to this historic roadway.
Yeah, indeed so. And as you said before, this is one of the staple road courses and has been for a long time alongside whatever you'd like to call it, Sears Point, Sonoma, Infineon Raceway out west. And we'll be going there in a month or 6 weeks' time, I guess, for the Sonoma race. A couple of other news and notes from pit lane before we go to green as the field makes their last run through pit lane. Cup start number 300 today for William Byron to make you feel really old. He's already at 300 race starts in the Cup Series, which is wild. And in the 12 pit, change of crew chief today. Jonathan Hassler is on baby watch for Ryan Blaney's 12 team. So Matt Swinderski is on top of the box for the 12 team today, hoping on week upon week that they can get through a race without a pit lane incident of some stage. They had 2 last week at Texas, of course. So let's see if the 12 car can have a good day, because as we know, Ryan Blaney, good on a long run.
Yes.
One to go.
Tick that off your bingo card.
Yes.
Ryan Blaney, good on a long run.
Absolutely. Adam goes on to say, by the way, love Michael McDowell's car today. Yep, carrying the race sponsor Go Bowling on the hood and quarter panels. Johnny says, good call on the Hurricanes last night, and thank you for that. Bruce Andrews is here. Nemechek is already up to 17th, and the race hasn't even started yet. He also comments, what happened to the Crown Vic? Anyone?
No idea.
No idea.
Ask Cletus McFarland. He is the pride of Crown Vics, is he not? So that's more in his bag.
Yeah, I can't help you on that. Sorry. Apologies. Fuel window today expected to be anywhere between 33 and 37 laps. Fuel, of course, has always been a conversation on road courses, Matt, but not so much with the stages. You can make stage 1 and 2 without making a fuel stop, but more than likely everyone or most drivers will, because they'll want to flip stages. But we'll see how the flipping of the stages goes today with, of course, stage points up for grabs at the end of laps 20 and 50. Pit stops, though, always tricky around here, Matt, because the pit stop sequence is done backwards here.
Yes, indeed. I'm just trying to think up now that Chicago Street Race and Mexico have gone away. This is the only race, I feel like, off the top of my head, where the fueler would be on the right-hand side of the car, not the left, as it would be every other week. So it's all a bit discombobulating for the crews. They've been practicing all week and the last couple of weeks, I'm sure, to get ready for today, so they will be ready to go, as we are, for 100 laps, just under 250 miles at Watkins Glen. Shane Van Gisbergen and Michael McDowell coming through the penultimate corner on the last pace lap of the day under cloudy but blue skies here in the northeast in the Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is a Kiwi and Michael McDowell on the front row. The restart zone is before the final corner. Matthew Owens, let's go.
Already accelerating as they come up out of turn number 11. The green flag is out. It's time to drop the hammer at Watkins Glen. We are racing on the historic road course in New York. Shane Van Gisbergen gets a great start. He'll beat everyone into the 90-degree right-handed turn 1, and everyone fans out, but not too far, through the tire packs as now they begin the climb uphill through the S's, uphill to turns 2 to the right, turn 3 to the left, turn 4 to the right, and they'll swoop down the back straightaway at high speed.
Looked like everybody was very mindful of the tyre stacks there at turn 1 on the first lap, so that's good to see. Up towards the loop for the first time. It's SVG leading from McDowell. Austin Cindric in the snap-on colours has slid in the third position ahead of Ross Chastain. A little bit of juking and jiving a little bit further back in the field. Tyler Reddick and Daniel Suarez side by side, with Bubba Wallace up behind them. And a bit further forward, Ty Gibbs having a battle here just outside the top 10 with Chase Briscoe.
Cars swing up out of the carousel, that 180-degree right-hander as A.J. Allmendinger down the chute into turn 10. Takes a peek to the inside of side-by-side battling Ty Gibbs and Chase Briscoe. Allmendinger thinks better of that, stays in behind those two Toyotas as the field comes out of turn number 11, that 90-degree right-hander, and it's Shane Van Gisbergen at the line, leading lap number 1 from Michael McDowell, Austin Cindric, Ross Chastain, and Connor Zilich. Side-by-side action begins at 7th. Ryan Blaney to the left elbow. Right elbow make it of Christopher Bell.
And looking to make a move through turn 2, but Bell will have the high ground on the outside and keep the spot. That's P7 on this second lap of the day as the field now gets itself all sort of sorted out. AJ Allmendinger still trying to make a move past the two Gibbs cars which have swapped positions. Gibbs in front of Briscoe for 9th position, but SVG leading the way by a couple of car lengths as they head through the loop. Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin in close proximity, and they've been talking a lot about each other for the last few weeks, but that battle will continue as Allmendinger now tries to get past Briscoe as well.
Allmendinger to the inside of Briscoe, gets loose underneath Briscoe in the carousel, has to back away, and Briscoe will hold on to that 10th position. Now approaching turn 10, Allmendinger is left vulnerable. Carson Hocevar slips to his inside. Out of turn 10, Allmendinger slings it wide, has to get back on the road for the 90-degree right-handed turn 11. Allmendinger will hold on to the spot ahead of Hocevar. Up front, across the line, Van Gisbergen, McDowell, Austin Cindric in third, but he's got pressure at the back door, Matt, going to turn 1.
Yeah, Ross Chastain having looked down the inside, and Cindric will hang tough on the outside, but as they head to 2, he's probably going to have to give this up.
Oh!
And Chastain, no, he's still holding out on the outside. The road will come to him through turn 3. That'll put Ross in a tight spot on the outside, but he leaves him enough room to Cindric. Connor Zilic is tagging onto the back of this. He will try and latch onto his teammate as they go up the back straightaway towards the bus stop. And Joey Logano is in play here as well. 4-car fight for 4th position, make that 3rd place. And Chastain prevails. He gets the spot on Cindric. And Zilic says, well, thank you. The door is open. I will slide through and take that spot away as well.
Into the carousel, Chastain and Zilic get around Cindric. Now his teammate Joey Logano squeezes and shoehorns his way to the inside of Cindric and makes that pass. So Cindric loses 3 positions in a lap, and he's also got more pressure at the back door. In fact, Christopher Bell gets into the back of Cindric going to turn 10. He backs away and allows Cindric to right the car. Great racing here towards the top 5 and 10 positions in the first handful of laps. Austin Cindric, one of his best starting spots in a long, long time, Matt, but he lost 4 positions, make that 3 positions that lap.
Yeah, so down to 6, one of our ones to watch, so he will try and steady the ship here for the moment, though he's got Christopher Bell at the back door. All that squabbling for 3rd on back has let the 2 leaders get away now. 2.5 seconds, the gap between SVG and his teammate Ross Chastain. All 3 Trackhouse cars inside the top 4 in the early going. So I'm sure there's a big smile on the face of Justin Marks downstairs in the pit lane. It's been a pretty decent day for Trackhouse racing already in their motorsport portfolio as the leaders bounce their way through the bus stop. Van Gisbergen leads by 3 car lengths or so, would you call that, as they come up out of the carousel.
And these top 2, Van Gisbergen and McDowell, shades of how basically the first half of last year's Chicago street course ran, Matt, with those 2 pacing the field. There in the early laps, it was McDowell leading from Van Gisbergen. McDowell had a mechanical failure kind of middle portions of that race, but every green flag lap that he ran before the mechanical failure, he led ahead of Shane Van Gisbergen. And here early, Matt, those 2 are 3 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack.
Yeah, indeed so. Fox have got a foot cam in the footwell of Michael McDowell to see his toe stepping going on down there, with the Gold Bowling sponsorship adorning the foot box and the steering column. So we'll have a close-up shot if you're watching the pictures on the world feed of the 71 going to work all day long. It's now 3 seconds between SVG and Chastain in 3rd, as you can see on screen. And he is starting to edge away from McDowell as they head back towards the bus stop on lap 5.
Van Gisbergen will charge this bus stop. He does every single lap, Matt. Really, we have talked now for the better part of 2 years since Shane Van Gisbergen became a full-time driver, just about a full-time road course driver at the very least in the Cup Series, Matt. What makes him so special on these tracks, his style, it's so smooth. But not only is it smooth, he's still beating everyone into these high braking corners by a mile. He's aggressively smooth, I suppose you should call it.
Yeah, that's been the key, is the feel in the high-speed braking zones, let's say, if that makes sense, where Shane has got the advantage on a lot of people. He's just got that knack and that feel for someone that, used to do right and left turning racetracks all the while down in Australia in supercars, of course. No ovals there. And then bringing that knowledge and know-how to the road courses of the NASCAR Cup Series. He was asked in the press conference earlier in the week about the weather, and he said, well, I don't like racing in the rain. In fact, I find it really horrible. I'm just quite good at it. And everyone says if it rains, watch out for SVG. So He's got the knack of the wet weather driving as well, but thankfully we don't have to worry too much about that so far today. No more changes inside the top 10 since that battle for third and fourth settled down. Ty Gibbs right to the rack of Ryan Blaney there at the back end of the top 10.
Well, we actually did just a moment ago. Literally in the last couple of corners have a change at third. Connor Zilic around Ross Chastain. So Zilic moves up into the third position. Winner here yesterday, Matt. He is still undefeated in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series here at Watkins Glen. 3 for 3. More on that race as we go on throughout the day. Zilic has had a terrible start to his rookie year. He was really good at COTA, but got turned around twice in that race, keeping him from getting the finish that he deserved. Today, everyone views him as a threat, maybe the biggest threat, to his teammate Shane Van Gisbergen. He's up to third, but he's also nearly 5 seconds adrift of SVG.
Yeah, he had the pace all day, didn't he, at COTA, but never got a decent position on track position to show the speed that he had. And as you say, he goes extremely well at this racetrack. Came in 3 years ago in the Xfinity Series for his first start and blew everybody away. So, fully expect Zilic to have a decent run today. And he had a decent run last week, didn't he, at Texas on the oval. So confidence is up in that 88 corner of the Trackhouse system. And he's already starting to put some gap into Chastain behind him.
And it's quite amazing. Now, Ross Chastain does have a road course win in his career, and that was in 2022 at COTA, that great finish that he had with Alex Bowman and A.J. Allmendinger. But it does seem like since the arrival of Van Gisbergen and Zilic this year as well to Trackhouse, Matt, Ross Chastain has picked up his road course game as well. He's been qualifying better. He's been racing better already this weekend. Started fourth, jumped to third, and now he's right back to where he started at fourth.
So much more data, from those two guys running quickly and running at, front end of the field pace, just going to benefit Chastain. More sim time with those guys, I guess, as well, is all helpful to Ross, and he's going to be learning an awful lot. Suarez and Tyler Reddick having a great battle as they come up the hill through the S's. Suarez picking up the spot there on Reddick. That's back in the teens. Those two qualified next to each other, and Suarez has got around the championship leader. SVG continues to stretch it out now, 1.5 seconds on lap number 8.
Yeah, Van Gisbergen pulling away as he swings the car out of that right-handed carousel, and that lead on McDowell that's just a few laps ago Matt called 3 car lengths is now up over 10, maybe a dozen car lengths that he has on McDowell. It's 5 seconds back to Connor Zilic in third, who's got another second to Ross Chastain in fourth. Qualifying yesterday dominated, Matt, by Trackhouse and Team Penske. Those two teams combined to take 5 of the top 6 starting positions. We'll change screens for you watching at home and see that Shane Van Gisbergen has set the fastest lap of the race to this point, 73.178 second lap. In fact, Matt, the 3 fastest laps of the race have been turned by the drivers running first, second, and third. Van Gisbergen has the fastest lap. McDowell has the second fastest lap. Zilic has the third fastest lap. It is truly the fastest 3 are in the top 3.
Yeah, cream rises to the top. And in this early stage, Zilic picking up a couple of places from his starting spot, but those two guys on the front row leading the way. And it's already almost a 10-second spread from first to 10th. Van Gisbergen having almost 2 seconds now on McDowell. So you would feel now that he's got the gap, it'll be interesting to see what sort of fuel strategy games are played, because this is a very short stage at 20 laps. We're almost halfway through it already.
And Shane Van Gisbergen, as we talked about at the top of the show, Matt, he has dropped 5 positions in the championship standings over the last 4 weeks. Now, obviously, everyone knows he has a great chance to win this race. What I can't wait to see with today is how will the stages be called here for this 90-17 today, because they are in the mix to make the chase. They're 19th in the championship standings. How Steven Doran plays this game, I think, is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, really will be, because they've had a really good start to the year. They were the standout Trackhouse car, weren't they, through the first portion of the season, through the springtime, until Chastain started to get it together the last few weeks. And of course, he's now in front of SVG in the point standings. But it was a really strong start to the season for Shane. And of course, didn't win at Kota, became second to Reddick in a race that pretty much everybody expected him to win. Now we come to one of his really great tracks, and he's already building the gap here. So it is going to be interesting to see what they do, even if they do it once and not twice and flip a stage. Perhaps that might be the order of play. But of course, we'll have to wait to see how it pans out, and if they do flip in the end of this first stage, how far back in the field will he go? Then how quickly can he get back through? All these questions are going to be answered throughout the day. We just have to wait and see what happens.
Third race of the weekend for Van Gisbergen as well. Yes, JT.
Stenhouse went through the grass, exiting the inner loop. Same place where Sheldon Creed went off-roading yesterday. Gets through without issue. He drops down.
Thank you, JT. Change of position in turn one, Matt. Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell dueling for 7th.
Yep, Blaney in front of Bell. I think that's a secondary change. I thought Blaney was in front before, but they've now swapped back again. So that has happened. AJ Allmendinger got past Chase Briscoe on the last lap for P10 as well. So a couple of bits and pieces shuffling there at the back edges of the top 10. I was going to mention Stenhouse, actually. I did notice that he dropped down the order a little bit. So thank you for the update there from our roving reporter, JT.
10 laps complete. That means 90 to go. That's been the normal length of this race over its many, many years since we've been running this course, in the modern era at least. When we came back in 1986, we didn't have races here in the Cup Series in the 60s, 70s, and up until 86, when we did run here back in the late 50s, and then took about a 30-year break, 30-year hiatus of NASCAR racing at Watkins Glen. Normally it's a 90-lap race. This year, Matt, up to 100. We've completed the 10 extra laps, and now we're inside the normal Watkins Glen race length.
Yeah, indeed so. And got through without incident, which is nice to see. And the top 10 is starting to stretch itself apart, as we've mentioned many times. Good to see plenty of people in. We're getting a replay of what JT told us about, the Stenhouse little loser position up there in a loop from a couple of laps ago.
Of course, if we talked earlier, Sheldon Creed went off in that spot yesterday, and because of how those O'Reilly cars are structured, the splitter just dug into the grass. And that car just went way up into the air, nose first. And heck of a ride for Sheldon. The O'Reilly cars and grass don't mix. Cup cars can get through it a little bit better these days.
Or the trucks that we saw just last week.
Well, exactly right. So at the front, it is Shane Van Gisbergen, as you see, by 3.5 seconds on Michael McDowell. Very spread out start. Spread between the top 10 is now 13 seconds from Van Gisbergen in the lead, and AJ Allmendinger in the 10th position. Looking back further through the running order here, Matt, Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman started together deep in the field, those 200 teammates, and they have not moved forward, but they are still running together. Bowman 28th, Elliott 29th. Hendrick cars were just abysmal in qualifying yesterday, and so far there is not a Hendrick car in the top 10 as we speak, Matt. William Byron, the highest running Hendrick car, in 14th. Mentioned Bowman and Elliott 28th and 29th. Kyle Larson in the middle of all that in 25th.
Yeah, not a great start to the day for the team that picked up the victory, of course, with Chase Elliott at Texas last week. Perhaps it'll turn around for them. Just seeing some shots from the cameras from Fox. Plenty of rubber marbles around the racetrack already. So tyre wear perhaps is going to be more of an issue than we perhaps thought it will be as the afternoon wears on, especially once we're deep into stage 3.
Christopher Bell has already reported losing rear grip after 10 laps.
Well, and the lap time at the front was Shane Van Gisbergen. He just clicked across the line, and that lap, a 74.72, is a second and a half slower, Matt, than his quickest lap, which was on lap 5. So in the space of 8 laps, he has lost a second and a half, as we've got all kinds of action going on in turn 1. Tyler Reddick swoops down to the inside of Carson Hocevar and William Byron. They all get it sorted out on the exit of turn 1. Kind of. John Hunter Nemechek's in there too.
Yeah, a bit of a schmozzle going down there. Reddick picking up, I think, 2, if not 3 places on the way into turn 1 there. as we cut to the middle of that. Hosfar got into the back of Byron at the apex of turn 1, but as you say, they did get themselves squared away, and Byron now going to be under threat from John Hunter Nemechek heading up towards the bus stop / inner loop at the top of the hill, but Byron does keep the place for now.
141 feet of elevation change around this race course. We talked about you dive downhill into turn 1, and then you immediately off the exit of 1 rise up the hill through the narrow and very fast S's. Going back to what we were just talking about before that battle broke out, Matt, about Van Gisbergen, he has lost about 1.5 seconds of lap time over the last 8 laps. Perhaps not all of that is tires, though. Perhaps some of that is, I'm up 5 seconds. No need to really push.
No, that's right. Just minding the gap a little bit, but it's kind of generally, I feel like what we'd kind of expect in terms of drop-off, in terms of lap time over that distance at the start of the race, which of course has had a fair bit of washing over the week, but we haven't really had much in terms of rain since the cars got on track on Friday. So should be fairly in a good condition, as there's another shot through the carousel. So it's the carousel and turn 2, the sort of high loading portions of the racetrack where the rubber is rolling off the tyre and onto the sort of outskirts of the racetrack, and it looks like marbles, which is why it's called marbles. And you don't want to get out there. That's going to be a bad thing for overtaking during the race. I'm sure the sweepers will be out to blow some of this off in the caution periods, but you do not want to get out there at any point, because you will be, to use the Martin Brundle line, straight to the scene of the accident.
Yeah, exactly right. And tire wear has been a conversation through most of the week in NASCAR Nation because, again, 30 degrees cooler than we were here last year, but maybe to counteract that, this is the first time running on this track with the new road course high horsepower package, and with it being so much cooler, the tires are gripping more. So there was some great consternation about what the tire wear would look like in this race, and so far, good amount of tire fall off, plenty of marbles as Matt just illustrated for you, particularly at turn 2 and 9 at the carousel, as we do have one car on pit road here, Austin Dillon's Bass Pro Shops Winchester Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing, the first car to hit pit road, Matt, here on lap number 16.
Yeah, that's opened the window perhaps one lap earlier than we suspected it would be as we close on in the end of this first stage. So Austin will be the first man to jump onto some 4 good years. We'll have to wait and see if anyone else decides to take the plunge here at the end of this lap.
Christopher Bell has a mirror full of Chris Buescher. This happening at the 10th position. Buescher was all over the bumper cover of Bell in the carousel. Now as they shoot to turn 10, Buescher will squeeze his way to the inside of Bell and get past pretty easily. So Chris Buescher, a former Watkins Glen winner, moves up into the 10th position. Bell has been backsliding here a bit. He drops to 11th. 2 really underrated road course drivers right there, Buescher and Bell, particularly Buescher, Matt. This is his 45th career road course start. He's had 19 top 10s in those prior 43 road course races. That's about 43%, and Buescher in the top 10 here. Another car on pit road here with 4 laps to go in the stage, a couple of them, in fact. Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick on pit road here. They are looking to flip the stages. Larson down towards the turn 1 into pit road, comes to a stop. His teammate Alex Bowman is in as well. These are mostly cars, Matt, that had no chance at scoring stage points, although Reddick did have a chance to score a few, but they're deciding to forego the stage points, flip the stage, and try to get track position for the start of stage 2.
Absolutely, and Reddick doesn't need to score stage points, does he, with his big championship lead? So that's why they've taken the gamble on that, and they will just about get out those guys in front of SVG as he plunges back down towards turn 1 with 2 laps to go in the stage. So this is going to be the last chance for anyone to come now.
The only way that strategy backfires on those guys is if they go a lap down, Matt, so they've only just about gotten away with it. Connor Zilic going to forego the stage points. He was running 3rd. That would have been 8 stage points to his credit. The Red Bull Chevrolet is on pit road.
And down and dusted and away from his trackhouse crew. And the Go Bowling 71 of Michael McDowell also stopping this time around. So the 2nd and 3rd place cars have pitted. Ty Gibbs also in 4 tyres.
Shane Van Gisbergen can pit this lap. He's the only car that can pit this lap. Again, pit road is closed when the leader crosses the line to start the penultimate lap of the stage. So once he crosses the line, pit road will be closed. And you would think that Shane will come down pit road here and Stephen Doran will bring him down, Matt, because even though those stage points would be big for him, there's a lot of cars that's flipped this stage. If they stay out, he'll be restarting about 25th. I think he'll be in, and he is.
I agree, and he does come down 30-odd seconds back to Bubba Wallace in 10th position, so plenty of time here for SVG to get down there and not lose too much position in terms of that, because, of course, he had the big gap anyway. So pit lane now is closed, as you say. There'll be 2 laps to go in the stage, which is going to lead to a battle between Ross Chastain and Joey Logano for a stage win. More on that in a moment, as the 97 comes all the way down to pit box number, well, whatever it is at the bottom of pit road.
So 4-tire stop coming up here for the 97, you would expect. Left sides are on first. Bit slow getting to the right sides. First pit stop of the weekend for these guys with the backwards pit stops that you do here at Watkins Glen. Van Gisbergen is away. They only needed a clean stop, didn't need it fast because they had such a big gap. Now we turn our attention to the battle for the stage win, and it is going to be a knockout battle for this stage win, Matt. Ross Chastain and Joey Logano both entered the weekend outside of the chase. They battle for this stage win along with Ryan Blaney and Austin Cindric. These 4 separated by only about 8 car lengths.
Yeah, these 2 at the front here, 10 points would be very, very welcome for both of them. Blaney in 3rd, and then Austin Cindric and the other Penske car a little bit further back, so they're all going the same way at Team Penske. Big gap back to AJ Allmendinger, who is 6th, and then it is Bell and Nemechek battling out for 7th, but the leaders are about to start the last lap of the stage. Van Gisbergen is going to be 9th on the road once timing and scoring recycles. He's just past Bubba Wallace, leader at the line to start the last lap of the stage.
Last lap of stage 1, Ross Chastain by 1 car length, make it 2 car lengths on Joey Logano through turn 1. 3rd place running Ryan Blaney. 4th is Austin Cindric, who's backed away from this battle for just a bit. Up the hill, it's Chastain and Logano for the stage victory, starting the day 17th and 18th in the championship standings.
We picked this battle up just about here on the last lap, and they were much closer together then. So that last lap was a decent lap for Ross, and he has stretched that lead out a little bit over the last time around into the bus stop for the final time in the first stage. And it is going to be, by the looks of things, if he makes no mistake, a stage win for the Florida native Ross Chastain.
Chastain, who, of course, we talked about qualifying a lot better and running a lot better on these road courses the last couple of years. He really has stretched it out on Logano now. It's a 6, maybe 7 car length lead as Chastain hits turn 10 for the last time. He'll come around to turn 11, Matt, and look for a green and white checkered flag for his 3rd stage win of 2026.
Car 1, P1 at the end of stage 1 here at Watkins Glen.
So Ross Chastain gets the stage victory. 10 enormous championship points for Ross. Joey Logano picks up 9 useful stage points in 2nd. 3rd for Ryan Blaney. 4th for Austin Cindric. AJ Allmendinger across the line 5th from John Hunter Nemechek 6th. Christopher Bell 7th. Then a big wad of traffic that just got passed by Shane Van Gisbergen, who finishes 8th. They're 3 wide across the line behind Van Gisbergen. My goodness, Matt. Riley Herbst finishes 9th. Michael McDowell 10th. Those 2 just edge out Darrell Wallace Jr. in a 3 wide scrap to the green and white checkered flag. That's terrific stuff. So stage 1 in the books here at Watkins Glen. And Ross Chastain, the stage winner. Now again, the top 7 cars in this stage chose to not pit. They will pit more than likely during this stage caution and will be well back in the pack. So 20 laps complete, 80 to go. Ross Chastain, the stage winner in the Go Bowling at the Glen. So, good action to start here at Watkins Glen. Shane Van Gisbergen, the clear dominant car in stage 1. Still does get 3 stage points does Shane Van Gisbergen with the stage victory. Give you a quick update as when Matt comes back, we'll do on this day in racing history and birthdays, as we always do at the end of stage 1. But real quick, give you a look at a wide world of sports update. And the NBA draft lottery was today. Big day for a bunch of teams that's hoping to improve. The Washington Wizards win the NBA draft lottery. They'll have the number 1 pick in the NBA draft in about a month and a half's time or so, maybe 2 months. Utah will pick 2nd, Memphis 3rd, Chicago 4th. The Clippers will have the 5 pick. The Indiana Pacers, where even are they on here? Wow, they are nowhere on this board. One of the silliest things that we still do in all of sports, a draft lottery. So it's the Washington Wizards who get the number 1 pick. And they will have plenty of players to choose from, whether it's Cam Boozer, A.J. DeBonsa, Darren Peterson, many different choices that Washington could make as they try to turn their franchise around from a year where they were quite clearly tanking in hopes of getting the number 1 pick, and they have received it. NBA playoff action today, 2 games, one just underway. The Knicks trying to sweep the 76ers. Game 4 in Philadelphia. They have played only about 3 minutes. The Knicks lead 8-4. Later tonight at 7:30, it's Game 4 between San Antonio and Minnesota. 7:30 tip-off there with the Spurs leading that series 2-1. Tomorrow night, a pair of Game 4s will see the Pistons in Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers, and the Thunder in Los Angeles will try to complete a sweep of the Los Angeles Lakers. Stanley Cup playoff action today. 2 games tonight, starting at 7. Game 3 between Buffalo and Montreal. Puck drop just after 7 o'clock there, and then at 9:30, it's Game 4 between Vegas and Anaheim. Buffalo and Montreal series is tied at 1. Vegas leads Anaheim 2-1. Last night, as seen here on the channel, the Carolina Hurricanes with an overtime win over the Philadelphia Flyers to complete the second-round sweep. Carolina advances to the Eastern Conference Final. They will await to see who wins that series between Montreal and Buffalo.
Matthew Owens.
Yes, JT.
Something revolutionary has just happened.
Is that so?
Uh-oh.
That's a big build-up.
Check your Twitter DMs. We have just had a NASCAR graphic on a banana ball broadcast.
Oh, dear. JT. Oh, yes, we have. The CW. Yeah.
Because the game today is being streamed on the CW.
On the CW, that's right. That 3-wide photo finish for the last stage points there at the line, Matt.
Yeah.
Herbst and McDowell putting their noses ahead of Wallace. So that shuts Darrell Wallace Jr. out of stage points. Riley Herbst and Michael McDowell get 2 and 1 point in the stages respectively. As we anticipated, drivers that did not pit at the end of stage 1 will pit here under this stage caution. Just to finish out our sports update real quick, plenty of action in the Premier League today, Matt, including Arsenal getting a late winner from Leandro Trossard in the 83rd minute at West Ham. Arsenal get a victory that is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, well, controversial finish to that game because on the stroke of 90, West Ham had the ball in the net through Callum Wilson, but it was ruled out thanks to the thing that we've been waiting for VAR to get involved in the title fight and the relegation fight, and they ruled the West Ham goal out. So Arsenal win. That's 1 down, 2 to go for them. If they win the final 2 games, they are champions. Man City play Crystal Palace on Wednesday, before, of course, the FA Cup final next weekend at Wembley Stadium.
And the relegation battle, obviously huge
Tightens
with
more
that.
Because,
yeah,
with West Ham not winning, that gives Tottenham a chance to pull away from them. They play Leeds at home tomorrow in the Monday Night Football.
Burnley drew with Aston Villa 2-2. So did Palace and Everton. It was a 1-1 draw between Nottingham Forest and Newcastle. We'll hit on all other things later. But now, at the end of stage 1, as always, we'll turn it over to Matt on this day in racing history and birthdays for May 10th, Mother's Day, 2026. Mother's Day in America, 2026.
Mother's Day in America. Indeed so. And happy birthdays to the following. Plenty of sports car guys on the list today, and a former Formula One podium getter. Lucas Leggere, his birthday today. Jordan Taylor, formerly of the NASCAR Cup Series Parish, of course. His birthday today, so happy birthday to them. Daniel Goldberg, also of the IMSA paddock. Nick Heidfeld is the podium finisher that I spoke of. And happy 51st birthday today. Here's a segue for you. The Drive for Five is still alive, and Indianapolis qualifying comes your way on this network next weekend. Helio Castro Neves, his birthday today, so happy birthday to Helio. Races that have happened on this day, there has been plenty, so we'll pick out the best of them from the list. Last year, the Heart of America 200 at Kansas Speedway in the Craftsman Truck Series was won by Carson Hocevar. In 2024 and in 2019, Ross Chastain was a winner in the Truck Series, both days. In 24, he won the Buckle Up South Carolina 200 at Darlington, and in 2019, he won the Digital Ally 250 at Kansas. 2015, the Spanish Grand Prix was won by Nico Rosberg.
Speaking of Ross Chastain,
there he is, standing on the fence, or at least a cardboard cutout of him was. In 2014, Mr. Owens, Jeff Gordon, a Cup winner at Kansas Speedway in the 5-hour Energy 400. And also
beating Kevin Harvick to the line.
I'm not sure this is right, but we'll go with it. The Indy Grand Prix, which is normally a Saturday race, according to this, is on the same day. Simon Pagenaud was a winner. Or was that Jeff Gordon race under lights at Kansas?
That was a Saturday night race. So, yep,
right,
that's
fine.
that is
accurate.
Thank
you.
That would have been the second running of the Indy GP.
Yes, when Pagenaud couldn't stop winning at that place. As our anniversary of 7 years on the network was this week. Kyle Busch was a winner in the Nationwide Series at Darlington on this day in 2013. Another Spanish Grand Prix on this day in 2009 on his way to the title, Jenson Button. 2008 Darlington Dodge Challenger 500 in the Cup Series won by Kyle Busch. On the same day, Mark Winterbottom won the first leg of the Barber Gallo Perth Big Pond 400 in the V8 Supercars Championship. Greg Moore, a winner in 1998 in Rio, on the oval in Rio at the Rio 400K, as it was called. On the same day, Mika Hakkinen won the Spanish Grand Prix. Martin Cup winner at the Winston 500 in Talladega in 97. Darrell Waltrip won a Busch race at Jeffco Speedway, which I've never heard of, in 1986 on this day, the Budweiser 200. Richard Petty at Nashville in 1980 in the Music City 420. Darrell Waltrip won on the same day 5 years prior. Jochen Rindt won the Monaco Grand Prix on this day in 1970. Graham Hill also winning the Monaco Grand Prix on this day in 1964. We get to do this next Saturday during Indy qualifying.
Yes, do it. We'll have a double next week, won't we?
Yeah,
on this day. Yeah,
we will. I'm gonna pull it up right now and get myself ready.
The Martin win at Talladega.
Hold on a minute.
Okay.
Did I just hear? We're gonna have a Saturday on this day.
Yes.
Yeah, we will. Good. And let's hope there's a stoppage during Indy qualifying, because I've just pulled up the list and it is lengthy.
Oh, well. There is normally some time that there's a little bit of a quietness, so you should be okay.
Oh, yeah.
We are on one to go, by the way, so I will shut up and let you take some cars going round in circles.
Yeah,
but also turn and vote.
That Martin win at Talladega in 1997, a caution-free race that had to be delayed 2 weeks because of persistent rain. They didn't want to run on Tuesday because the next week they were going to Sonoma. So they just took the off week after Sonoma and ran the race that week. Caution-free race in 97. Getting ready for the restart. As Matt mentioned earlier, restart zone is between turns 10 and 11 here, Matt. So the restarts do look different around here because the pace car pulls away IndyCar style, and then drivers can get on the accelerator before they even get to turn 11, which is where they're at now, Matt, as we get stage 2 started.
Yeah, absolutely. Did catch me out at the initial start. So Van Gisbergen taking the inside for the final corner. He will jump ahead of Michael McDowell, much like he did at the beginning of the race, and will lead down to turn number 1.
Shane Van Gisbergen under braking to turn 1 to the lead. Michael McDowell trying to stick with him, unable to do so he'll fall in line behind. Contact further back. Chris Buescher got on the curbing. Daniel Suarez slips to his inside and through. Buescher backs away up the hill, will lose another spot as it's Van Gisbergen from McDowell and Connor Zilich up the hill, off of turn 4, down the back straightaway they go. These restarts are going to be wild all day long, Matt. We saw how strung out it got very quickly in stage 1, so while you're all together, you got to make passes now.
Yeah, absolutely right. Top 6 have splintered away up the top of the hill. Carson Hocevar sideways and a bit through the grass. They'll stack up behind him, but I believe they've all continued with some contact. There's still beating and banging going on. Kyle Larson getting the short end of the stick there from Ryan Preece. And Hocevar slow up behind Cole Custer as well.
Ow.
And Larson still fighting to get some speed in the 5.
Zane Smith gave him a knock in the rear. Larson nearly got into that extended wall out of the carousel. He's bobbling the car back and forth down the chute towards turn 10, trying to see if he has a flat tire, I'm sure. Seems to be okay for now, other than the fact that he's getting past left, right, and sideways. To his inside in turn 11 goes Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, trying to get the tires clean, perhaps, after being offline up there at the carousel. We talked about the marbles before. So Larson getting freight train down there at the back end of the field and diving from a bit far back, Austin Cindric. And Larson again is going to get the elbow.
Cindric got to the inside of Keselowski. That shoved Brad up into the side of Larson. Joey Logano says thank you very much for that. He picks up 2 positions. Larson in the back of Keselowski at the top of the hill. Moves him aside. Larson is not happy with what's happened the last 2.5 miles. Keselowski has to pick the car up. Christopher Bell gets around him. Ty Dillon gets around him. So too will Darrell Wallace Jr. and into the inner loop maybe A.J. Allmendinger.
Yeah, he gets through as well. This is the problem with the changing of strategies at the end of the stage as people out of position in terms of the pace of their car. Chase Elliott now down gets through on Brad, as does Riley Herbst as well. And is that Eric Jones going to squeeze through as well? So Jonathan Imshek, sorry. So last lap it was Larson going backwards. This time it's Brad Kay.
Keselowski has lost at least 6 positions this lap. Now he's side by side with Cody Ware as they make the left-hand turn 10. Ware to driver's right. He'll get around Keselowski, who will now face pressure from Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Further up towards the front. Change at second in turn number 1.
Zilich up the inside of McDowell at turn 1, as you say. So it is a Trackhouse 1-2. Van Gisbergen continuing to lead the way by a few car lengths now of Zilich. McDowell back away from Connor and has Ty Gibbs at the rear of him. So it's a couple of Trackhouse cars in first and second, and a couple of the Toyotas in fourth and fifth. Gibbs now attacking McDowell, heading towards the chicane, but no way through.
Ty Gibbs very good on these road courses of late. Top 10 in 3 of the last 5 road course races, and he's been so very good to start this season in 2026. He's right on the back of Michael McDowell. Through the carousel, that seemingly never-ending right-hander. McDowell gets a good jump out of the carousel. He'll gap Gibbs by an extra car length as they shoot their way back to turn 10. Van Gisbergen and Zilich now first and second, Matt. To my knowledge, the first time they've run first and second on a road course race in a Cup Series event. This is what everyone's been wanting to see for the better part of about a year and a half. These two dueling in a road course in the Cup Series.
Yeah, they had a couple of duels last year in Xfinity, didn't they? At Chicago and at Sonoma, notably.
And here,
but,
where Van Gisbergen ended up in the wall hard at 11.
That's right. So, are we going to get another page in the book here between the young gun and the hard head, perhaps, of SVG, perhaps you could call him, the old head, as Ross Chastain continues to make his way forward in the other Trackhouse car. He just passed Ryan Blaney in turn 1 up into, now he's now 18th position for our stage 1 winner.
Remember, for what it matters, Chastain did not pit until the stage 1 caution, so his tires will be about 2 to 4 laps fresher than the cars that he is racing against here, Matt. So I don't know how big 2 to 4 laps fresher tires is, but whatever advantage he's got there, he's trying to take advantage of it to pick his way back through traffic.
Well, it's going to have some relevance, and he's out behind Carson Hocevar. We talked about the rubber as well, so scattered around the track. Austin Cindric's lost 20 spots since the start of this race, of course, with their differing strategy. Brad Keselowski down 15 spots since the restart, most of which we managed to see and comment on. Closing up at the front, though.
in turn one. Connor Zilich is at the back door and knocking on Shane Van Gisbergen. Van Gisbergen slings it wide on the exit of turn one. Zilich took a much tidier line as the race goes uphill through the S's. Van Gisbergen ahead of Zilich by a couple of car lengths as they hustle those cars up the hill, down the back straightaway. Van Gisbergen and Zilich, Trackhouse teammates in a lot of those O'Reilly races over the last couple of years, but they might be dueling for the lead and the win throughout the day here. Ty Gibbs took another peek to the inside of Michael McDowell at the bus stop, Matt. McDowell shuts him off, but Gibbs is still right there underneath the spoiler of the Go Bowling Chevrolet.
Yeah, so those guys will continue to battle for third. Just worth noting, we mentioned that Austin Dillon was the first man to pit in the cycle there at the end of stage one. Well, he's now sixth in the running order thanks to that early pit stop. So that's worked out brilliantly for the RCR number 3 team. Keep an eye on how that progresses throughout the afternoon. As the leaders go back to the final corner, they've got about a second or so on McDowell. He's about 0.3 of a second between those two Trackhouse cars at the front.
And again, for what it's worth, whatever you think track time is worth, especially with the new track limit sections on this racetrack for Van Gisbergen and Zilich, this is their third race of the weekend. They both ran the truck race on Friday. They both ran the Grand National race here yesterday. Van Gisbergen, Zilich, McDowell, Gibbs, and Tyler Reddick, the top 5 here as we work lap 30 of 100 in the Go Bowling at the Glen. This is lap 10 of 30 in stage number 2. Action-packed start to the stage, Matt, and it doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon because I think we might have found the car that could stick with car 97.
Yeah, Connor is on the hunt here, but he knows he's got plenty of time and will not perhaps rush into anything here, and perhaps will just track his teammate in the other Trackhouse car to see where he is stronger or weaker than the 97 at the front of the field. Plenty of time to get a feel for what's happening here in this battle as they head back towards the last corner of the racetrack. As you mentioned, this is a 30-lap stage as opposed to stage 1, which was 20 laps. We should be fairly fine to get through this stage without having to take any fuel on board. Though Austin Dillon might be a bit close. Of course, he was the first pit stopper, so we should be, if it goes green, no worries about fuel in this one, but as we talked about at the very top of the day, is a 50-lap run for the final stage, so we should see at least one fuel stop in the final stage.
Yeah, Austin Dillon is the only one that may have to worry about fuel this stage. Fuel window is just north of 30 laps. It's a 30-lap stage, and of course, it's not 30 green flag laps. So everyone should be okay. We'll just keep an eye on the 3 of Austin Dillon, and of course, most would think you'll see a lot of cars on pit road with 2 and 3 laps to go in the stage anyway. Connor Zilich will not let Shane Van Gisbergen move away from the field the way he did in stage 1. These two come off the carousel right together, nose-to-tail stuff here. 1 car length separating Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilich. Trackhouse Chevrolets into turn 10, tied together by a very short piece of string. Michael McDowell in third is about 8 car lengths back of that private battle for the lead that swoops up out of turn number 11.
I'll put an arm's length to Ty Gibbs in 4th position behind him. Then it's Tyler Reddick leading the main bulk of the next pack in 5th as the leaders again go through the first couple of corners. We're riding on board with Chris Buescher, who is now in 10th position. He was the man that got as close as anyone has to clattering the tyre barriers, the tyre bundle, should I say, at the exit of turn 1 on the restart.
Had a couple of first-time winners in 2026 this year, Matt. Ty Gibbs at Bristol, Carson Hocevar at Talladega, Connor Zilich looking for his first Cup Series win. Perhaps it will come today. Looks like he's got a really good bull underneath him. He did sneak a peek to the inside of Van Gisbergen going to the bus stop. Wasn't a real attempt at a pass, but maybe just to get Shane to look in his rearview mirror. Through the carousel once again. Last time through here it was Shane by 1 car length. This time it's Shane by a car length and a half.
Yeah, just edged him slightly. It's going to be an ebb and flowing battle here between these two. I'm sure Randall Burnett on the radio to Connor will be preaching patience. Still a long, long way to go here in the stage and, of course, in the race itself. And what's the first rule about racing your teammate? Try and do it as cleanly as possible, please.
And again, these two got locked in a late laps battle for the win at this track in the Xfinity Series last year, and Connor just got a little bit too impatient in turn 11, turned Van Gisbergen around, sent him hard into the wall, a race that Zilich went on to win. Obviously, it's a longer race here today, and it's been about 6 months or so since that race, Matt. Maybe he's learned a little bit more patience, but this is still a rookie in the Cup Series. He wants to lead, he wants to win, and he wants to beat his teammate that is the king of the road courses. And right now, he is sticking with him stride for stride as once again they come through this carousel separated by less than 2 car lengths, as it has been ever since this last restart.
Yeah, and we kind of expected this to happen last year in the races that he run. Cota, he never got a chance really at the front end of the field before he was taken out last spring. As we talked about earlier, at Cota this year, he had a fast car but could never get track position and kept being spun around by people. So it's been a bit of a while, a bit of a moment for Connor to get at the chance at snapping at the lead of a Cup race. He's only just got to wrestle away from the quote-unquote best in the business at the moment on road courses to get that lead position.
So Van Gisbergen and Zilich continuing to go around this track basically nose to tail. It's a similar nose to tail fracas for third, Matt. Ty Gibbs is backed away from the bumper of Michael McDowell by just a little bit, but that's still a very tight battle for the third position. Tyler Reddick is 2 seconds adrift of that in fifth.
Yes, absolutely right. So just beginning to spread out again at the front as it kind of was in the first stage, but big group here behind Reddick. Austin Dillon behind him, as you mentioned, then it's Suarez, Briscoe, Byron and Bush are all fairly close together. A couple of notables that we talked about in the first stage a bit further down the field. AJ Allmendinger now in 27th. And he was one of the guys that stayed out, wasn't he, at the end of the stage? So those guys that took stage points now having a problem of track position in this second portion of the race.
Yeah, the stage winner, Ross Chastain, up in the 17th position. You'll see the full field rundown flash onto your screen now as Van Gisbergen and Zilich are across the line, and we're just about halfway through stage 2. 14 of 30 laps in this stage complete. We work lap 34 of the race. Gibbs has gotten closer to McDowell this lap, Matt. They're about to climb the hill nose to tail. Chevrolet from Spire, Toyota from Joe Gibbs Racing.
Yeah, those guys up the hill and out of sight of the spotters down at the other end of the racetrack. Multiple spotters for everybody around the racetrack this place, as McDowell running down the middle of the road there from the onboard. I'm guessing he must have been defending from the front on shot there. We can obviously see Ty behind, but unusual line for McDowell as he ran towards the inner loop that time as the leaders come out of the carousel.
Van Gisbergen holding on to this lead. It's a tenuous one on Connor Zilich, who can sniff the slipstream from his teammate just ahead as they go down the chute. The second longest of the 3 straightaways on this track before they brake heavily into turn number 10. Back towards 11, those two stay right where they are in line with Zilich behind Van Gisbergen. Same can be said for that battle for third between McDowell and Gibbs, but further back, Austin Dillon at 6th, starting to feel some pressure at the back doormat from Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe, and William Byron. As we mentioned, Dillon the earliest to pit in stage 1, so his tires have more laps on them than the guys that he's racing with. He could be left vulnerable here over the next few laps.
Yeah, we're already at a halfway point of this second stage, so he's flying along again here at Watkins Glen. Here's a change of position of the guys that stayed out at the end of this stage. Ryan Blaney getting up the inside of Ross Chastain coming out of turn number 1. So the 12 car goes up 1 spot. That is 17th in the running order for Ryan Blaney.
Blaney was really good here at Watkins Glen last year, leading 35 laps and scoring 14 stage points en route to a 6th place finish. And then remember, he led a lot of laps earlier this year in Austin, Texas, Matt. So the road course game starting to come along for Ryan Blaney, who does have a road course win in his career. No one's taking that trophy away from him, but it certainly wasn't a straightforward win at the Roval 8 years ago.
Wow, really? Goodness. Okay. That long ago. Yeah. Did just about fall in his pocket somewhat, didn't it, that day in the last chicane on the last lap. At that was the very first Roval race, wasn't it? So yeah, time does indeed fly, as do the two Trackhouse cars out front now, almost 4 seconds clear of this duel for third place. Sorry.
Yep, McDowell holding off Gibbs for now. Reddick still running fifth, and we mentioned Austin Dillon. At least that lap was able to hold off what is becoming a screaming pack of cars behind him. He's got a good 4 or 5 starting to huddle up at his back door. Into the bus stop goes the battle for third. Bus stop is a right, left, left, right. Not a true chicane, Matt. Bus stop, it was named after the bus stop at Spa, which is nothing like this bus stop, but it was named after it.
Well, then it was, because the Spa bus stop has changed its shape, well, 3 or 4 times
Yes.
since the 90s, when it did look more like a bus stop, when it was left, right, and then right, left, back out of it again. So, yes, there are similarities, but not quite the same as it looks nowadays.
Reminder that next week NASCAR heads to Dover, Delaware. It is All-Star Weekend, at least for the Cup Series. They run the what is being called All-Star Race, even though it is an all-car race, with an extremely confusing format. But it is a triple-header weekend. The trucks will run there at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday. The O'Reilly Auto Parts Series at Dover as well, 4 p.m. Eastern Time next Saturday. That truck race can be watched on FS1. For the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, that race on the CW, and the Cup Series All-Star Race on FS1 Sunday at, hold on to your hats, Matt, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. A 1 p.m. start time, and we won't be here for it. Can you believe it?
No, yeah. The final Fox NASCAR race of the season next week, of course, at Dover for the All Cars race. Because we, on this channel, will be off to one of our most hallowed grounds and our favourite places, Speedway, Indiana.
Yes, next weekend here on this channel is all about setting the field for the 110th running of the greatest spectacle in racing, the Indianapolis 500-mile race. We'll be with you for 2 days of time trials, Saturday and Sunday. Super excited for that. And I'm assuming we'll have the All-Star race on the channel for you NASCAR fans, but it won't be us covering it. Could you imagine us trying to call that race? Because just reading the rules to it gives me a headache. So trying to talk our way through it on the air, no, thank you.
No, it's every year it's more confusing than the year before. It seems with the All-Star race. So let's hope that Dover finds its way back onto a points-scheduled race in the not-too-distant future.
I mean, might as well be. It's a 350-lap race next week.
Well, indeed.
Anyway, for those of you just joining us, just twisting us in, maybe even just finding us for the first time, if you like what you see and more importantly, like what you hear, do hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified anytime we go live. You know, all that stuff that you hear from every other creator here on YouTube. Do it all for us. Plenty of people watching, commenting, and subscribing. Already up a handful of subscribers today. Caution flag is flying here for the first time for cause this afternoon here at Watkins Glen. Oh my goodness, and can you believe it? It's a big camping weekend here, Matt, and apparently a tent or something that resembles a tent has flown onto the racetrack. Well, I feel compelled to say, have you ever?
That has gone up.
Wow.
To use the John Handoff line from Sebring all those years ago, like a kite. What even is it? Is it a tent? If it's someone's tent, they've lost all their belongings that were in there. It actually came down off the racetrack on the inside of turn 4 and then found another pitching point on the outside of the corner.
That deserves a spot on the NASCAR oddities chart immediately.
Absolutely right. Saw it once at Sebring, which is where the John Hindhaugh line comes from. Sebring at the 12 hours when a easy up blew across the racetrack. Luckily, it was under caution when it happened already on the back straight at Sebring. But yeah, that's a new one.
I cannot wait for NASCAR Chasm to get on top of this.
Yeah.
I am going to assume
It's now off the racetrack. How it got there, man-powered or wind-powered, I'm not sure.
I'm going to assume
It got caught by a massive, massive gust of wind.
That's-
Here you go.
No, we saw it.
Yeah, we saw
But then
it.
it's blown
Okay.
off the racetrack since.
Yeah, I'm going
Yeah,
to
up
assume that
there.
no one was in it.
I hope no one was in it.
I mean, I just appreciate, though, how someone at Fox could see it coming, because they had the cameras focused in on it
Yeah.
for quite a while to get a replay of a tent flying. That is, well, in the category of we've never seen that before, at least in NASCAR, caution is out.
Also, that portion for the tent came on 10 laps to go of the stage.
We have had cautions for a beach ball on the racetrack in the
Yeah.
2006 Pepsi 400 at Daytona. We also had a beach ball on the track in the Virginia 500 at Martinsville of 2002 that was not thrown a caution for. But we've seen beach balls on the track. We've seen sponsorship banners at Atlanta and the Roval.
Roval, yeah.
But this is the first time in NASCAR that I can recall a tent.
We had not had a caution light fall down at some
Oh,
step
yes.
somewhere as well.
That was at
Oh, there you go.
Fontana.
Yes. Well, the Forrest Gump line again. You just don't know what you're going to get.
And for all the
And,
people that say that there are phantom debris cautions, well, we saw the debris right there. It might have been a phantom that blew it out there, but we saw it. JT is doing some work behind the scenes here for everyone.
He's wound the live pictures back to when we got the replay initially. I didn't even realise, really, from looking at the pictures, that it was that windy here today at Watkins Glen. But Old Glory there was blowing a good one on the left-hand side of the screen just before the tent went up, and then the UFO came down to Earth.
And then rose up again.
Yeah, well,
Oh.
Artemis 2's landing has gone awry and found its way to Watkins Glen.
Oh, very good. We're about
Damn it, hold on. There is no way I rewound that back because I was recording it to send to my dad. There was no way that after I finished recording that, I was going to mention Artemis 2 and Matt got there before me.
a lot of cars coming to pit road, but not Michael McDowell or Daniel Suarez. Let's go to pit road and see what's going to happen on caution flag pit stops.
Now, Josh, the call for the 54 was Eminem. They came into pit here. The biggest complaint for Ty Gibbs, just getting 2-3 towards the end of those runs, Jamie.
Shane Van Gisbergen's led 38 laps today. He said the tires are wearing, but they're not bad at all. He wondered if this was too soon to come, but they said, I think everybody's coming. We need to come in. 4 tire stop for Shane Van Gisbergen.
See who wins
7
the
or 8
race
cars
off of
stayed
pit
out
road.
on track. And
It will be Van Gisbergen from Zilich, then Gibbs, Reddick, Austin Dillon. This is a huge break for Austin Dillon to get that caution mat and pit with everyone, to get on cycle with, well, almost everyone. As mentioned, though, Michael McDowell and Daniel Suarez included in the cars that did not pit. Sounded like Mike Joy said 7 didn't pit. Bell, Wallace, Herbst, Nemechek, and Josh Balicki to round out the 7 that did not pit. Josh Balicki from Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, Matt. We've said it many times before. A road racing instructor in his home state of Wisconsin, so he does love to run the road courses here in the Cup Series when he gets a chance. He's with Garage 66 this weekend, and he'll have a front row seat, or at least a front of the field row seat for this upcoming restart in the 66.
Yes. He'll have his hands full on the restart. Josh Blicky, one of the few NASCAR Cup Series drivers that I know the hometown of, thanks to you. He's one of those guys that always has his hometown mentioned on the air. Hello to High Point, North Carolina's Ryan Blaney.
Yeah, I think even the JBM guys have picked up where Ryan Blaney's from.
And Prosper, Texas is Chris Buescher, of course.
Yes, with a population of 30,000.
I can confirm that it has been added to the NASCAR oddities chart already.
Very good.
And can you confirm, JT, as well, that you do know, without having to think about it now, where Ryan Blaney is indeed from?
Low Point, North Carolina.
Low Point.
Or no, he's from the opposite of Low Point, South Carolina.
There you go. Very good. Well done. Yes, everyone now knows where Ryan Blaney's from.
Yes.
Except for Collins Janis.
Yes. Very good.
So apparently, there is stuff going around on Twitter. There has been a flying tent warning issued by the Severe Crash Prediction Centre for Watkins Glen until 4:20 p.m. Eastern Time. Watkins Glen International has said, please text 69050 for assistance if this is your tent.
Well, that is the next question, isn't it, Matt? I mean, how do you find the things that you had in the tent?
Well, yeah, hope there was no particular valuables in said tent, because they might now be in an inaccessible area on the inside of Turn 4. To finish our conversation from previously, Winnemac, Indiana's Justin Haley.
Oh, there you go. Wow. Wow, that's kind of a random one, too. Look at you go.
Stuck in my brain for some bizarre reason.
Well, next week we will...
El Cajon's Jimmy Johnson.
Oh, yes, that's right. Next week we will cover the challenges and the
yes,
hopes
indeed.
and dreams of Noblesville, Indiana's Connor Daly.
Hold on a minute. This is the second tent-related incident of the weekend.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Wow.
In the O'Reilly race yesterday, a Viking Motorsports tent blew away and landed on Kyle Siegs' race car in the garage area pre-race.
Okay. Well, you just never know.
It's been a year. Yes, it has been a year for the NASCAR oddities chart, hasn't it? Last time out at Texas, the pace car was taking a face of action. We had a styrofoam logo and a rear windshield came loose.
By the way, Noblesville, Indiana's Connor Daly, Matt, trying to become the first driver from the state of Indiana to win the 500 since Wilbur Shaw in 1940. I promise you that will not be the last time you hear that on these airwaves over the next
7 days.
Right. Or even
or
14.
next weekend when we get to the race.
Yes.
When Connor Daly is sure to lead laps, because
always does.
Half of the course at this point. We're at the Choose, so we're about to go back to racing here at the Glen rather than at the Choose. And it's going to be a 7-lap sprint here for the stage points. And it is a Spire lead duo, the 7 and the 71 in front of him, McDowell and Suarez.
Yeah, those two.
NASCAR Chasm has spoken.
Of course he has.
Of course.
McDowell and Suarez have 26 laps on their tires. Wallace, Bell, Herbst, and Nemechek have 21 laps on their tires. Josh Bilicki did come to pit road the lap after most of the leaders came to pit road. So it's the top 6 that did not pit. Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilich will line up 7th and 8th. They're the first that came off of pit road on fresh tires. Here's the field into the restart zone off turn 11. Green flag goes up into the air, and the Spire teammates Michael McDowell and Daniel Suarez got very close together coming off the corner. Green flag waves. Downhill, the field plunges, and Shane Van Gisbergen is stacking it up 3 wide into turn 1, and Riley Herbst gets punted around by John Hunter Nemechek.
He will get going again, but way at the back of the field, so that gamble from the 35 has not worked, so they may as well come to pit lane now as the field winds their way uphill through the S's. Connor Zilic is an absolute mire here between Ryan Blaney and William Byron back there, trying to make something happen for him. But it's McDowell leading from Suarez and Wallace. Van Gisbergen up to 4th.
And Tyler Reddick gets thrown wide at the bus stop, and there's trouble in the middle of the pack. William Byron goes spinning. Ryan Blaney tattoos him. Another car around to driver's left. Looked like Zane Smith. No, it's Smith going through the grass. I think it might be Noah Gregson who spun out to driver's left. No, it's Todd Gilliland. Thank you.
No.
Name the whole field before we get Gilliland. William Byron turns it back the right direction. We stay green. Ryan Blaney's going to have plenty of damage in the 12 car, and Byron's going to have plenty of suspension damage, Matt, from Blaney's contact.
Yeah, it looked like the right front took the brunt of it for Blaney. We'll have to see how that damage runs out, but right rear broken toe link for William Byron, so he'll limp it back. Up to 3rd place goes SVG, getting down the inside of Bubba Wallace at turn 1.
Now Wallace with a crossover move gets back to the right elbow of Van Gisbergen, but he won't have the horses to stay with him up the hill. Van Gisbergen on fresh tires, not taking any prisoners here. He wants to get up and win the stage. It's opened up here for Stephen Doran and Shane Van Gisbergen to go for a stage win, Matt, which they really need to try to make this chase. He runs 3rd. He's on the back of Daniel Suarez going to the bus stop, and Shane's restart was a lot more fortuitous than Connor Zilic's was. Zilic was stuck in a ton of traffic, and Van Gisbergen has gotten away from him by multiple seconds here.
Yeah, Zilic 16th as they cross the line, as you can see on screen from the running order. William Byron has made it back to pit road, but this is absolutely, as you say, fallen into the lap of SVG and the 97 crew. He's going to pass Daniel Suarez here at turn 10.
Yeah, easy move to the inside of Suarez at 10, and that will give Van Gisbergen 5 laps to run down and pass Michael McDowell, and he probably will only need about 1.5 of those 5 laps to do it. Here come the leaders across the line. McDowell's lead is a 2.5, but Van Gisbergen is firing on all cylinders and fresh tires. Meanwhile, down the hill into turn 1 and under braking, Darrell Wallace Jr. muscles his way to the inside of Daniel Suarez, and the Hardee's Toyota moves up to 3rd. He takes teammate Tyler Reddick with him up the hill.
Watching the replay in the second screen there of what happened to Byron, it was Ty Gibbs and Austin Dillon in front of him that got together going into the bus stop in the stack up. Byron was then collected from behind, which spun him. That's what happened to Connor as well. He had to bounce across the grass to avoid all of that nonsense.
And I think Connor's got damage. And then we got one missing the bus stop here this time around.
Chris Bell.
Yep, Christopher Bell. He got hip checked wide, but I think Zilic has damage actually, Matt, that I didn't see the first time through. He went all the way to driver's right through the grass to avoid this, and I think he got a piece of the guardrail to driver's right, and I think Zilic has some right front damage.
It was Chris Buescher that turned Byron around. We'll have to keep a check on what happened to Connor. Bell on the outside going up to the bus stop, never got it stopped, locked the wheel and had to roll through the inner loop, and if you go through there, you have to come to a complete stop and then go again. That is the penalty for missing it. So Bell will be right down the back of the order. 4 laps to go at the line. And it's still ongoing battling going on here. Chris Buescher ahead of Briscoe and Suarez, who is now really suffering on the old tyres. He's just been passed by Austin Cindric.
Yeah, big parachute out of the back of the 7 of Daniel Suarez, or perhaps it's a tent, as he is dropping back many positions. Cindric and Briscoe getting by him in turns 1 and 2, so Suarez doesn't look like he's going to score any stage points. At the front! Oh, Shane Van Gisbergen fireballs his way past Michael McDowell at the bus stop.
Came from downtown New York. He was that far back on the brakes there to turn 5, was Van Gisbergen, but he goes through to the lead, and McDowell now will have the championship leader peppering the back bumper of the 71. Tyler Reddick is, what were we talking about, hunting down stage points? He's going to get a good chunk of them here as he goes down the inside of McDowell to turn 10. Easy pass for Reddick. He goes to P2.
So Reddick moves up to 2nd. McDowell now will do all that he can here to hold on to these stage points, unless, Matt, they want to pit him the next time around. Which they just about could, maybe, before Van Gisbergen gets to the line to start the penultimate lap. We'll see.
Be interesting to see what the bunch of guys that did pit under the caution do here under the impending stage caution, or will they just stay out and run the fuel through? That's going to be an interesting watch, but we'll get to that in a moment. as we ride on board with Michael McDowell going up the hill through turns 2 and 3 over the crossover bridge, which is under the racetrack there. A little bit further back in the pack, Austin Dillon, who that caution really helped for, is in front of Darrell Wallace Jr. now, so that's a change of place there. Wallace slipping back. He's got Kyle Busch behind him. Then it's Buscher, Cindric, Briscoe, and the recovering Zilich, who I would say, from the speed that he's now going at, did just avoid any damage.
Of course, he had damage yesterday that he suffered late in that race by getting into the grass and tearing the splitter up, and he still charged from way, way back to beat Jesse Love. Interesting decision to be made here by Travis Peterson and Michael McDowell over the next 10 seconds as Kyle Busch in turn 10. He works his way to the inside of Darrell Wallace Jr. and takes him. So up into the 6th position goes Busch. McDowell does not pit, Matt, and he's going to lose the 3rd position and maybe more on old tires. Ty Gibbs to his right elbow across the line.
Yeah, I'm not sure he would have got in, to be fair. It would have been the gap from the leader crossing the line, so they really were on the edge there, and the time that he lost perhaps told the story there of why they didn't pit. Austin Dillon slides through on McDowell, and McDowell's really suffering now in the high-speed corners because Kyle Busch gobbles him up like he's in a different category.
And now Chris Buescher's going to peel to the outside of McDowell. Boy, we've seen this happen a lot today, Matt. When you lose one position, you just lose so much momentum, and then you lose 3, 4, 5 positions. McDowell on this lap loses spots to Gibbs, Dillon, Busch, and Buescher.
And now we'll resurface in front of Darrell Wallace Jr., who is another of the guys that didn't stop. Although here's Austin Cindric coming through in the background of shot too. So he might lose another position, might not get any stage points here. McDowell as we get to the end of this stage. Van Gisbergen looks like he's set fair for a stage win. One more lap to go in stage 2.
Cindric gets around McDowell on the approach to turn 10, so this has not gone well for the 6 drivers that did not pit at the end, or at that last caution, rather. Across the line comes Van Gisbergen. He starts the last lap of the stage, so not only is he in the mix to win the race and get maximum points that way, Matt, but he might just get a stage victory as well, which would be 10 championship points. He's got about 9 turns to make to get it.
Connor Zilich passing McDowell, so that is for 8th position. So McDowell holding on here to the skin of his teeth to a couple of stage points as Zilich makes the pass. But yeah, you're right. We talked about it at the top of the show. What will they do at the 97 here to try and maximise as many points possible to get him back inside the cut line at the end of today? Well, this has worked out handily for him as Briscoe gets past McDowell at the inner loop.
So Shane Van Gisbergen looking for a stage win and looks to be well on his way to doing it as Michael McDowell has a mirror full of Chase Briscoe through the carousel. Not going to work out for McDowell at all here to try to get stage points by staying out. But Shane Van Gisbergen, meanwhile, has been almost untouchable all day long. Here he comes up out of turn number 11. Green and white checkered flag is waving. And through all of the pit strategy and the stage flipping that normally happens on these road courses, Matt, this is Shane Van Gisbergen's first career stage victory over Tyler Reddick, Ty Gibbs, Austin Dillon, and Kyle Busch, a double top 5 in the stage for RCR. But it's Shane Van Gisbergen with a stage victory, 10 championship points for Team 97.
Yeah, that is exactly what they were looking for. Well, not exactly what they were looking for, but nice to have that on the resume for the day for Van Gisbergen. That caution landed at exactly the right time, really, for them to make the change and get back through the cars that didn't pit, of which Darrell Wallace Jr. would be the top finishing of them. He grabs one perhaps valuable stage point there for 10th place.
So you see the top 10 positions there, rewarding stage points, how they finished in the stage. Michael McDowell does come up short, 12th in stage 2 here at Watkins Glen. So stage 2 comes to an end, Matt, and with it we complete lap 50. So with half the race complete, there is half the race to run here at Watkins Glen. And Shane Van Gisbergen at the front. Now it's going to be interesting to see what happens here during this stage yellow. We know the 6 that didn't pit at the late caution in that stage will definitely pit, but I'd have to think probably everyone will, even though it was only, 6, 7 laps on the under green on the tires.
Yeah, fairly certain that everyone will go back to what they were going to do anyway and pit here, either by the end of stage or just before it. So, relatively speaking, the running order as it stands there on the screen for the end of stage 2, give or take a few changes in pit lane through the cycle here, is pretty much how we're going to restart stage number 3.
So we'll see if pit stops
We'll
will
find
be
out in due
made.
course.
Yep, we'll see if pit stops will be made here. But it's Shane Van Gisbergen, the Stage 2 winner here at Watkins Glen. Hot lap time, Matt. That's you this weekend. What's happened so far this racing weekend?
It has been a very, very busy racing weekend. And we will start... where should we start? Let's start with the European Rallycross Championship, which is back in a big way this year, and it started today in Latvia. Johan Kristoffersson, the multi-time champion, getting home to take the victory there at Brands Hatch today, where here in the UK we've had some touring car action, the British Touring Car Championship. Ash Sutton won race 1 of the day, Aaron Taylor-Smith the second, and Tom Ingram getting home in the 3rd race, so win each for all of those guys at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit. At Indianapolis yesterday, we talked about Indianapolis earlier on, and the 500 is looming. The Grand Prix was run yesterday evening, and a win for McLaren. Christian Lundgaard getting his first IndyCar win for McLaren, his second of his career. There was 2 Indy Next races over the weekend. Enzo Fittipaldi winning on Friday night, and a win yesterday for the Pole, Timek Kusharek. If I've pronounced that wrong, then I apologise. It's the first time he's ever come on my radar. At Le Mans this weekend, we have MotoGP. Jorge Martin at the double over the weekend, winning the sprint yesterday and the Grand Prix today. A typical result in Moto3, Max Quiles getting the victory again. He now has a 45-point lead in the championship already over Adrian Fernandez, so that's pretty much sewn up unless he gets injured at this point, and we're only on the second weekend of May. Isan Guevara winning the Moto2 race, which was red flagged and had to be restarted. What else have we had over the weekend that I can tell you about? At Spa yesterday as well, there was the second round of the World Endurance Championship, the 6 hours of Spa, won by BMW. Robin Freins, Rene Rast, and Sheldon van der Linde on an alternate strategy, getting the victory in a BMW 1-2, as it turned out to be there. And as we've touched on already this weekend here at Watkins Glen, on Friday, Caden Honeycutt did the double. He won the ARCA race Friday lunchtime or Friday afternoon, and then after he'd celebrated winning that, he got in a truck and he won that too. So a big weekend for Caden Honeycutt. He's actually won 2 more races this weekend in other series around the country too. So it's 4 from 4 on the weekend for Caden. And I've mentioned a couple of times today, Connor Zilic winning yesterday in the O'Reilly Auto Parts race. Pit stops are happening, JT, at the Glen.
Obviously, they decided to stay out. Lost those stage points as it worked out there. Tighter through the right-handers and snapping loose through the lefts. Josh, I can tell you, Bubba Wallace was really happy to get that final stage point there. Happy with the car. Just 4 tires and fuel for the 23, Jamie.
The leaders.
Bubba Wallace leads him off pit road after a fill-up with Sunoco race fuel.
Okay, then.
Problems down there. Yep, a bit of tech issues, but whatever. Not everybody stopped, so that is going to shuffle the running order a little bit here, which we'll get for you in a moment. Matthew touched on the Premier League scores from today at the end of stage 1. Some other notables from around the world of soccer today in League 2. Playoff semi-finals, Salford City winning 2-1 away at Grimsby Town, and Chesterfield losing at home against Notts County in the first legs of both of those playoff games. The Old Firm Derby at Celtic Park was won by Celtic to put themselves in position to see if they can overhaul Hearts at the top of the SPL. And the goals all came from the east. Hang Jung and Dyson Madeira with a double, and one of them an absolutely spectacular overhead kick, getting the win for Celtic. Below the border here in England, it was the Women's FA Cup semi-finals today. Brighton and Hove Albion booking their place, winning against Liverpool. They're into the final, as are Manchester City, who won 3-2 in extra time. In La Liga today, a big win for Valencia away at Bilbao by 1-0 in their relegation fight. And right now, with 20 odd minutes to go in El Clasico, Barcelona about to win the title by winning this game. They are 2-0 up. Goals from Marcus Rashford and Ferran Torres in the first half for the home side. Loads of goals in the Bundesliga today. Hamburg 3, Freiburg 2, Cologne 1, Heidenheim 3, and Mainz 1, Union Berlin 3. Serie A, AC Milan about to be beaten by Atalanta at home. They're 3-1 down with moments to go in that game. Roma won away at Parma today by 3-2. Ligue 1 in France, it is the last day of the season there. All matches happening now. Lyon losing at Toulouse, PSG 0-0 at home against Brest. Not too much other notable scores there. Ajax lost in the Eredivisie today at home against FC Utrecht. The NAC Breda against Heerenveen game was abandoned. I'm not entirely sure why that was. And at Wembley today, Rochdale, who the big story from a couple of weeks ago after their playoff National League heartache, losing against York, and that means not going up automatically, have won in the playoff final on penalties against Boreham Wood. So it all turned out all right for Rochdale in the end. They will be playing league football next season in League 2.
Yes, and speaking of playoff, I would like to make a couple of comments, but first, in the comments section, our good friend Redbox from north of the border says, "Good afternoon, Matt and crew. We've got quite a good crowd here this afternoon. Love to see it. Are you there?" Would be my question. Which would be great for you, which isn't too far away to make a trip from Canada to the Finger Lakes region of New York. But glad to have you here with us, no matter where you are physically.
There's more.
Wow, there was another tent in there. Good lord.
Oh, there was another one in the middle of that.
Wow.
And yeah, just quickly, Matthew.
Yes.
In that stage break, before the pit stop, before pit road opened, I quickly ran out of the production truck on the infield and to get a drink out of my tent. I can't find my tent. Does anyone know where it's gone?
It wasn't a black one, was it?
Yeah, tell ya.
I believe it was a small black tent with like a red and blue awning next to it. Yeah.
Well, I have bad news for you.
Patch.
But yes, Matt, the EFL Championship playoff first legs played Friday and Saturday. Hull and Millwall played to a 0-0 draw. Then Middlesbrough and Southampton played to a 0-0 draw. And I would just like to say, before we get to the second legs on Monday and Tuesday,
which is tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just like to say that I am not a fan of teams saving energy and not scoring goals in the first leg, waiting for the second leg, and waiting for the late stages of the playoff to do all their goal scoring and to go for it. Where's the 100% rule? Why aren't they going for it in the first leg?
Go hard all the time.
I don't like this soccer package. It's stupid. What are we doing?
Garbage system.
It is. I think we should change the lengths of the game. The second leg should only be 45-minute game. And the first leg should be
Interesting tweet from
120.
Dustin Long quickly. We're about to go green, or are we not? Dustin Long, in an
We
even
are
and
one to
measured
go, yes.
voice, Kyle Busch asked his team to find Dr. William Heisel and that he will need him after the race.
Ooh.
Dr. Heisel has extensive work with teams, drivers and pit crew members. Busch did not elaborate on the radio for why he is making said request.
Oh.
Then Bob Pockris chimed in. Kyle was asked if he wanted to be met at his car or his bus. Busch said his bus. He's going to need a shot. So perhaps Kyle Busch, who's having a good day and he's fifth for this restart, may have a back problem, perhaps. That's my suggestion. We're about to go racing in stage 3.
Into the restart zone on the outside of turn number 11. Shane Van Gisbergen hits the loud pedal and clears Tyler Reddick before he comes out of the corner. Green flag up in the air. The final stage underway at Watkins Glen. And Tyler Reddick is trying to stick with Van Gisbergen. He zigzagged down the front straightaway. Gets to his outside on the approach to turn 1. Van Gisbergen a nose ahead. Now he clears Reddick out of 1. One car wide off of turn 1. At 4th place, that was Austin Dillon. Gets back in line. And further back, Shane Van Gisbergen around the Connor Zilich around the outside of cars, Matt. He gets around Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, so Zilich moving forward after that sort of bunged restart from before for Connor. That put him back. Up the back straight they go. Van Gisbergen leads by a car length from Reddick. Then it is Gibbs. And Austin Dillon hanging on in 4th. 4th and 5th for RCR at this moment in time. Much cleaner and greener through the chicane on this first lap of the restart, although that was Josh Berry way out of shape as he headed towards the carousel.
We'll watch Michael McDowell, particularly on this restart, Matt. He took the green flag well down the running order in 28th, but he will have fresher tires by about 7 green flag laps than everyone ahead of him. We'll see what kind of difference that makes for McDowell, who's had a top 5 car most of the day. Denny Hamlin made an aggressive move on the approach to turn 10, trying to get around Ryan Preece, but he hasn't made the pass off of 11, so he'll try again down the front straightaway as they flash back to turn 1.
And Denny will make it through. I think Preece cut him a bit of a break there. Got out the throttle on the front straight, so Hamlin makes the place. One of the first mentions of Denny Hamlin outside the grid today, and we're in stage 3, which is a rarity. He must be on a road course. Joey Logano in the thick of things here as well, around Carson Hocevar and Zane Smith. They got themselves all straightened out heading up the hill. Alex Bowman being passed by the 34 of Todd Gilliland.
That was not an anti-Denny Hamlin shot there by Matt
No,
White.
it
It is only
no.
factual. This is his 63rd career road course start. And in the next-gen era, Matt, only 3 top 10s in 33 next-gen road course races. That's less than 10%.
Thank you for backing up my jibe with facts. That is always appreciative.
The cheat sheet never fails, Matt.
Yeah, indeed so. Indeed so. Van Gisbergen continues to lead. He's in the final corner.
Van Gisbergen.
All cars have met minimum.
From Tyler Reddick here, thank you. Van Gisbergen from Reddick out of turn number 11. Ty Gibbs hot to trot in the 3rd position. Then those RCR Chevrolets, Matt, 4th and 5th for Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch. Boy, is that good to see for Richard Childress. And how about Ryan Blaney with all that damage taken by hitting the spinning William Byron car late in stage 2? He did not fall a lap down. In fact, he's gone almost nowhere as far as going backwards. He's still up in the top 15. He's 14th, trying to take 13th from Eric Jones.
As you can see on your screen as well, talking of William Byron, he's back on the racetrack. He's running last, 4 laps down after the suspension damage. Interesting to see what happened to Brad Keselowski, because he's on the lead lap, but he's on his own, running around at the back of the field, way off the back of the queue. So I'm not quite sure what happened to Brad there, either on the restart or under the stage break, but he'll want a caution to get back on terms with anybody else as Chris Buescher gets elbowed aside through the carousel by Connor Zilich.
Zilich takes over the 6th position. Connor's going to have to do some real good leg work here, Matt, to get back up to the back bumper of Shane Van Gisbergen as he was for the majority of that 2nd stage. That restart late in the stage, Matt, did not go Connor's way at all. Got caught in a lot of traffic, had to avoid the big skirmish in the bus stop. He lost a lot of track position to Shane, and right now as they come across the line, Zilich is 6th, 2 seconds behind the 97.
Yeah, exactly. And all of these guys at the front of the field, it'll be a one-stop fuel race from here against all the guys that stopped under the caution. They'll still need to come again as well. So it's just going to be, if it stays green, when the pit stop cycle rolls through, what do we say, 30 to 35 laps, the fuel window. So perhaps if we stay green for another 15 laps, then you can be in a position to fill up and get home to the end. But of course, with wind issues that we've already seen and the typical craziness that happens towards the end of one of these road course races, I would say we haven't seen the last of our friend, the yellow flag, today.
Well, and if you do pit, you do want to give, or if you do want to pit a little bit early in your window, you do want to afford yourself some laps for overtime if that were to happen, because obviously when races go to overtime on road courses, Matt, that just changes the math completely because of how long the caution laps are here.
Yes, and the length to the checkered flag after that, because it could be another hour or so that we're here trying to get the race finished. The craziness and tomfoolery that happens at the end of the races. And to mention, back to my original point, we never know when we're going to get another tent on the racetrack. That could happen at any point today. So if you're in the campgrounds, get your mallet and get your pegs and push them further into the ground, please.
I do just have to wonder what was going through the mind of Dave Moody when that tent went flying, because that was around his vicinity. And
behind his head.
Yeah, and of course Dave is on a platform high in the air to see all the action from the top of the hill down to turn one. He's probably thinking, I don't feel very secure on this platform with this wind blowing like crazy. Speaking of crazy, at the back of this field, you've got cars all together, and Catherine Legg trying to make a pass on Josh Bilicki. All of this happening just behind Joey Logano, because as we would expect Joey Logano to be running with Catherine Legg and Josh Bilicki. And meanwhile, ahead of them, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. muscles his way around Alex Bowman in the carousel.
And Bowman, the Chicago winner from a couple of years ago, now got Cody Ware tucked under the bumper of the 48. A couple of top 3 finishes in a row for Alex Bowman. Doesn't look like he's going to continue that streak this afternoon. Something really weird would have to happen from here, as Connor Zilic now tries to attach himself to the back of Kyle Busch in turn 1.
88 all over the back of car 8 as Zilic stalks Kyle Busch up the hill through this narrow section but very fast section of the racetrack. Zilic all over the back of Busch, the next superstar perhaps in the sport, against Busch, who of course has been a superstar for so very long. Joey Logano has gone wide in turn 1, might even have a flat tire perhaps. I thought that left front may have looked a bit down. It is. Yep.
Yeah, bad day gone worse for the 22 after a promising qualifying. He's got the whole of the racetrack to get around on a flat tyre without dropping too much debris, hopefully. And he's absolutely going far too fast at the moment, is Joey. Smoke billowing from the left front of the shell car, and there goes the carcass. It's off the tyre. And if it's as long as it stays up against the barrier, we'll be okay.
Put it out, put it out.
Yeah, well,
and there's the caution.
I was going to say, it depends on if you have the IndyCar stewards here or not, whether that'll be a caution or not, but the caution is out as the tire carcass has come off of the yellow and red number 22 of Joey Logano.
Well, IndyCar stewards and race control and rule setters have absolutely lost their minds in IndyCar over the last couple of weeks. Thankfully, hopefully we won't have to talk much about that over the next couple of weeks at the Speedway. And it was a big lockup on the way to turn 1, which punctured the tyre of Logano, and then in just getting back on the racetrack, there was not much more the carcass could do.
No. And Logano, as you said, needed to be going slowly to save any debris from happening, but he wants to hustle and get back to pit road to lose as little time as possible. Although, I don't know, maybe the caution keeps him from going a lap down. We'll see. They're struggling to get the left side of the car jacked up with the car down on the rim.
Matthew?
Yes?
While we have a moment, can we go back a couple of laps and see how close SVG got to those tyre packs?
He did seem... Well, he has seemed to be going wider than most everyone has been out of turn 1. He's been using a lot of the road. And he's gotten close. So let's see. This is going back to lap 59, which JT has turned our attention to. And, oh yes, very close.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
But I have noticed in watching, especially that run where Zilic was following him, he's going much wider to driver's left in 1 than everyone else is. Just using as much of the track as possible. Boy, we're going to be seeing this tent flying for quite some time, aren't we?
Yeah, Radioactive's having a field day already on Fox with
Did you see the tornado in the infield? Well, we had a hurricane on this channel last night, and we've got a tornado on it today.
I forgot to mention yesterday how you said in the hockey you couldn't really throw a hurricane.
No.
When in a relation to Gritty, the mascot.
Right.
because he was throwing penguins.
Right.
However, there is someone in this race nicknamed Hurricane, which you could technically throw. Of course, I'm talking about a stuffed version of Carson Hocevar.
Yeah, the newest star of
Outside the fuel window, but I think we're going to see a lot of takers here.
Well, Van Gisbergen and Reddick's going to stay out, but Ty Gibbs and seemingly everyone behind the third-place car is going to come to pit road. A.J. Allmendinger stays out. Ty Dillon stays out. Let's go to pit road.
Right now, he is as tight as he's been all day through the right-handers. He needs some help with the rights. Had been a little loose early in the lefts. That's not a problem now, though.
Larry, do you like it?
They're going to be way back. They've got a pit. They've got a pit, and it looks like to me it's not going to be long after we go back racing. But we had so many that came to pit road there that I think that actually can make it from here if you save enough under this caution.
All right, the cars that came to
Yeah, that is interesting. Well, crew chiefs would call it difficult timing for that caution, Matt, because it came right on the edge of that fuel window. So Larry's right. If you can save a bunch during this caution and then just save a little bit under green flag conditions, as long as we don't go to overtime, they might just be able to stretch it. I don't know if that's going to work out for Shane Van Gisbergen, Tyler Reddick, A.J. Allmendinger, Darrell Wallace Jr. Let's see, who else? Austin Cindric. Yeah. So, yes, Carson Hocevar, the Hurricane, of Met Gala fame now, of course.
Well, indeed so, yes.
Cleaned up nicely.
At least he was looking presentable, unlike some other people that were.
Oh my God!
Gala.
Does anyone know what the Met Gala actually is? Because I don't. It's just an opportunity for people that I don't know, that everyone else claims that is famous, to dress like absolute imbeciles.
Yeah, it's just a big fancy dress party, isn't it? By the looks of it.
I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. It's yeah. Joey Logano, by the way, did just stay on the lead lap. I don't know how he managed that, Matt, but timing and scoring on your screen right now, you can see he has managed to stay on the lead lap. We talked earlier, Matt, he is outside the chase field right now. Doesn't seem as if this is going to be a good point scoring day for him. I think the All-Star break is coming at a good time for Team 22.
Well, yeah. It's they need something, don't they, down there? Blaney's been a fairly consistent. He's not been pulling up trees by any stretch of the imagination, and he's had his issues, but he's still managing to get the finishes most of the time, and he's well placed in the points at this stage. Austin Cindric sort of kind of where we would expect him to be in championship land, teetering on the edge of the cut-off line. But yeah, not a great start to the year at all for Logano, and this year will worsen their position. Going to be interesting to see, to the point that Larry was making there and the Fox booth, the guys at the front that didn't stop, at Van Gisbergen and Reddick more than anyone else realistically in this conversation that I'm about to have with myself, they are going to have to go hell for leather here while everyone else is saving fuel to get to the end and hope that it stays green, that they can pull out enough of a gap, get in, get out, and then on fresher tyres at the end of the race, have enough of the speed to get past these guys that are trying to make it to the end, because they'll have plenty of fuel if they stop in 15 laps or so.
Yeah, I think they're really...
If we stay green, of course. Because if there's cautions, then that's going to throw them all for a loop.
Yeah, and I think they're
Free pass 24.35, too fast out of the field, section 5.
Byron's free pass puts him from 3 laps down to 2. The really interesting part...
That is his second of the day as well.
Well, it takes me back to the car on screen. Kyle Busch, back here in 2006 in this race, received the free pass, I think it was 6 times. Finished on the lead lap with all those free passes. 20 years ago, good God. That's quite unbelievable. I am definitely not ready for next year's realization of 2007 being 20 years ago. I'm not ready for it.
Got Bush's radio if you want it.
Yep, go ahead.
Heisel. Doctor guy, I need him after the race, please. Hey, do you want Mr. Bill at your car and at your bus after the race?
Racing Kent.
Yeah, that was the radio transmission that Matt read us earlier, so hopefully Kyle's okay in there. He's been running really well today. Of course, Matt, top 10.
Last week.
Top 10 at Talladega 2 weeks ago was his first top 10 of the year and was running well last week at Texas until it went wrong on the penultimate lap of the race.
Pace car lights are out, so we will get back to racing this time. The cars are just coming through the Choose now, which is at the exit of the inner loop, so we've got half a lap or so to go before we go back to green, which will come with 37 laps to go in the stage, which is, as we mentioned, and then Clint and Larry did as well, right on the edge of a fuel window for the guys that just pitted under that caution.
Real quick, Matt, before we go green, how long do you think the guys that didn't pit here, which are about 9 cars, how long do they run here off the green before they pit? Is this a 5-lap stint and then pit as soon as you can, or do you try to stretch it out a little bit to, as you mentioned, build up as big of a gap as possible before you pit?
I'd say it's probably going to be, unless we get a caution, of course, quickly here, I'd say if it stays green, it's going to be maybe 8 to 10 laps, I'm thinking. And that would give them still plenty of time to get back through whatever is left of the front end of the field here when that happens. But we'll wait and see.
Van Gisbergen and Reddick on the front row, top 6, did not pit under the caution. Make that the top 8. Off turn 11, Matt, to the green flag.
And Gisbergen jumping ahead of Reddick as they come through the final corner, as he would do by being on the inside. He's squirrely. AJ Allmendinger squeezed Michael McDowell up against the wall. They'll be side by side for third, as Reddick tries to stick it out around the outside of SVG to turn 1, but yet again he'll have to fall in behind. 2 wide action throughout the field behind them.
Up the hill, it's Van Gisbergen from Reddick. A.J. Allmendinger is underneath the spoiler of Reddick at third. Michael McDowell in line fourth, feels pressure from Darrell Wallace Jr. Then it's side-by-side action between John Hunter Nemechek and Josh Berry. They spill out onto the back straightaway. Connor Zilich on fresh tires, moving back and forth on the straightaway, left to right to try to pick up positions. To the bus stop, Zilich locks up the tires a bit going to the bus stop. He's right on the back of Austin Dillon. He gets around Daniel Suarez.
And they all keep it pointing in the right direction. Christopher Bell has recovered from his bus stop shenanigans from a little while ago, just behind those guys. But it's Van Gisbergen by 2 or 3 car lengths on Reddick as they come out of the carousel. Christopher Bell right up against that tyre wall on the exit of the carousel further back. Van Gisbergen leads from Reddick, Allmendinger, McDowell and Wallace.
3 wide going to turn 10. Eric Jones to the inside of Christopher Bell, who was to the inside of Ryan Preece. Preece sprints away from those 2. Gets to the back of Kyle Busch for turn 11. Preece locks up the right front. Jones gets around Bell. Denny Hamlin's back there. All of this happening outside the top 10.
Allmendinger defending to turn 1 from McDowell to keep that third spot, and does so at the moment. Wallace having a great run again on a road course in the 23 car. He is 5th, ahead of JHN and Josh Berry, who we haven't really seen at the front end of the field all day. That's the way the strategy has cycled through. Up the hill they come. Ty Gibbs in 8th position now, looking at the back of Nemechek. He's just got around Josh Berry, in fact, at turn 1.
Update for you Joey Logano fans. He did stay on the lead lap off the first pit stop, but now they've taken the 22 car behind the wall. So Logano looks like he will be a very, very deep in the field finisher here today for a driver that started outside of the chase field. 36 laps to go, coming to 35 to go. Shane Van Gisbergen has popped off the restart again to already a sizable lead, but again, the drivers that did not pit under this last caution, we know for sure have to pit again for fuel sometime before this race is over, and the question is, for all the guys that did pit under the caution, can they make it? That could determine the race over the last 35 laps.
You mentioned Connor Zilich on the initial restart, locking up, going to the bus stop. He did it again on this lap, but with the right front this time. But carried it nicely through the corner. Here is Cole Custer under fire from Chase Briscoe. Where is this happening? Just outside the top 10, and Briscoe makes the pass.
That's for the 11th position. Briscoe getting by Cole Custer. They're followed by Daniel Suarez. A.J. Allmendinger looks very antsy to make a move on Tyler Reddick at second, but he isn't able to get close enough at any of the heavy braking zones, Matt. But I think A.J. does have a car at least as good as Reddick, but not quite enough better to get around him in any of the high-quality passing zones. But A.J. is peppering the back bumper of Reddick as they swing it wide out of the carousel.
Yeah, there's only sort of 2, maybe 3 passing zones on this racetrack. Turn 1, of course, up the hill towards the bus stop, and here, the second to last corner, the left-hander. We've seen a few passes in there today, and AJ, I think, is seeing, as he locks the right front going into the last corner, he's seeing SVG doing what I suggested, absolutely bolting at the front of the field and going hell for leather here. He needs to build as much of a gap as he can once this pit stop rolls around. He was about 8 tenths quicker than Reddick on that last lap.
Further back in turn 1, Ty Gibbs trying to make quick work of John Hunter Nemechek. This is at the 6th position. Gibbs gets to his inside and completes the pass quickly. Behind them, Connor Zilic completes a pass. He slips past Josh Berry for the Wood Brothers. Wood Brothers searching for their first Watkins Glen win, Matt, since they won here with Marvin Panch in 1965.
Wow. Long time between drinks for the Wood Brothers then here at this racetrack. Not sure Berry's going to be in contention today. He still owes us the one pit stop that all the guys that stopped under the caution did take, if that makes sense. Here is Zilic. He is now up behind John Hunter Nemechek as Van Gisbergen still continues to absolutely pile on the coals at the front of the field. He has stretched this thing out.
Darrell Wallace Jr. was a hot ham and cheese width away from that tire wall in the Hardee's Toyota coming out of the carousel. Meanwhile, at turn 10, Zilic is going to make his second pass this lap. He got around Berry earlier in the lap. Now he gets around John Hunter Nemechek at turn 10. So Connor Zilic has a really good lap here, Matt, as he jumps up into the 7th position. He'll try to run down Gibbs and Wallace next. Those two are close together going downhill to 1.
And Gibbs will go through. Meanwhile, a bit further forward, Allmendinger having a look underneath Reddick, and he might have the run out of turn number 1 and does to the turn 2 corner and makes the pass. So AJ up to second.
2014 Watkins Glen winner here. That great duel with Michael McDowell, or with Marcus Ambrose, rather. Michael McDowell on the brain, Matt, because here he is all over Tyler Reddick, and he thrust that 71 car through past Reddick in the bus stop.
So 2 positions lost for Reddick, lost the momentum coming out of turn 1, and that allowed McDowell to follow Allmendinger through. So Reddick now will surface in 4th for the moment with Gibbs behind him, and then behind them, side by side, Connor Zilic trying to round up the outside of the Wallace 23.
Side by side down the chute goes the Toyota of Wallace and the Chevrolet of Zilic. Zilic will have the inside line on the approach to turn 10. He'll easily make the pass. Will Wallace have a counter at him at 11? Doesn't look like it. So Zilic slides through up into the 6th position. Now Wallace throws that car deep into turn 11. Tried to get to the bumper cover of Zilic to move him aside. Couldn't do it. Zilic in the Red Bull Chevrolet will now start to pull away from Wallace. He's up to 6th. Meanwhile, ahead of him, Ty Gibbs set to make another pass, Matt. He's cleanly able to maneuver his way around the Tyler Reddick automobile.
Yeah, Camry position swap there. Gibbs up to 4th. So Reddick struggling here as his tyres age against some of these guys that perhaps have looked after them a little bit better on that previous run. Reddick, you can see Reddick struggling out of the throttle there, coming through 4, and that'll leave the door open for Zilic as they head towards the bus stop.
Every time Zilic makes a pass, it seems like just ahead of him he sees Ty Gibbs make a pass, but on this time through the bus stop, Zilic makes quick work of Reddick. That battle is so important, Matt, because that will be the battle for the lead and maybe even the win. If this cycles out the way we think it will be, once the top 3 pit, it'll be Gibbs and Zilic going for it.
Yep, so we keep an eye on these. The energy drink battle for the ages, Monster versus Red Bull, at the virtual race lead as it stands right now as they come out of the final corner. Van Gisbergen's lead at the line over AJ Allmendinger is, as he waits for timing and scoring to catch up, 3.9 seconds.
So
Matthew?
Yes.
On 26 lap old tyres a few laps ago, SVG ran the fastest lap of the race, more than 3 tenths better than anybody else.
Goodness
On
gracious.
26 lap old tyres.
Yeah, and I mean, he was easily the fastest car yesterday in single lap, 5-lap average, 10-lap average, 15-lap average runs. Van Gisbergen just murdered the field yesterday every which way he possibly could. But it could be the strategy of these road course races and the timing of that last caution that has it come undone for the 97. A long way still to go. Coming around this time, it'll be 30 laps to go, but he has stretched it out to 4 seconds plus on the second-place car of A.J. Allmendinger. But we are really watching here, I think, Matt, Gibbs and Zilich to see which one of those two will have the lead once it cycles out, if indeed it does. By the way, JT, DMs behind the scenes, please.
Checking.
Down the front straight come the leaders. Yeah, Gibbs actually pulled away a little bit from Connor on that last lap in the 4th and 5th position would-be battle. And Gibbs is going to get slowed down in his progress in a moment because he's about to catch the back of Michael McDowell. Goodness me. It was that right up against the tyre wall at the end of the exit of turn 1. I think it was John Hansen Nemechek or Austin Dillon. Couldn't quite see in the dappled sunlight, but someone was very close to the bundles there at the exit of turn 1.
John Hunter Nemechek is all over the back of Tyler Reddick here down the backstretch. Chase Briscoe and Austin Dillon are there too. This is a 4-pack heading to the bus stop, and a lot of these cars, Matt, are cars that did not stop under the last caution and are really struggling.
Yeah, Reddick certainly, he's really beginning to get to the thick end of the wedge of his tyre wear. Holding off Nemechek for the minute. Briscoe did get past Austin Dillon. What did I say? It would be 8 to 10 laps from the drop of the green on this run to the pit stops, which would be in a couple of laps. Oh, Catherine Legg going for a spin at the exit of the bus stop, but she has got it rolling in a forward direction. Is the motor running?
Boy,
keep it running, Catherine. Don't let this go. Caution.
If you can get to pit road now, you need to get there in case she stops on the track.
Reddick is in.
Yep, smart. If Catherine can't get that back to pit road, be on pit road now, and it's a huge advantage. So Reddick hits pit road. Legg is moving, but slowly around the track. We'll see her next weekend in Indy 500 qualifying, of course.
Yep, we'll focus in on her run at Indianapolis next week. We stay green. Van Gisbergen's in the carousel now. We don't see the Legg mobile, so she must have got back up to speed. Reddick has cleared his pit stop and is out and away, and he was in dire need of some tyres. It looks like Catherine has got back up to full speed, so we stay green.
So that is very important to the end of this race for Legg to have gotten back going and no caution. Ty Gibbs has gotten to the back of Michael McDowell and A.J. Allmendinger, and Matt, he really needs to make these passes as quickly as possible so he's not stuck behind those two, and then he has a mirror full of Connor Zilich.
Yeah, and perhaps burning his fresh air tyres stuck in the hot air of the cars in front, which is always a factor on these road courses. There is Catherine Legg. She's back up to speed coming up the hill. So that is not a worry as Van Gisbergen pulls it into turn 2. So he's about 10 or 15 seconds behind her on the racetrack at the moment as they continue on their way. Here is that battle for second coming up the hill as well. Allmendinger, McDowell, and the on-rushing Ty Gibbs. Zilich has not caught them as quickly as I thought he might do.
Gibbs is looking down this back straightaway, weaving the car back and forth, trying to find space to outbrake McDowell into the bus stop. Can't find any room. He'll have to follow those two cars through the bus stop in the carousel this time. Darrell Wallace Jr. just brought the Hardee's Toyota to pit road with 28 laps to go. When will Shane Van Gisbergen pit is the question. Will he stay out to try to continue to stretch this lead, Matt, because it's nearly 5 seconds right now?
He's going to try his best to do all he can. Here he comes through the final corner. He's going to stay out for at least one more lap here. He's actually lost a little bit of time over the last couple of laps because it was up above 5 a moment ago. Zilich sideways through the final corner in his chase of the guys in front of him.
And here's McDowell now, sneaking a peek to driver's right on A.J. Allmendinger, and he's alongside him, under braking to 1. Can McDowell get it stopped and rotated? Yes, he does. McDowell moves up into second past Allmendinger. Ty Gibbs cannot follow him through. He remains in 4th, and Zilich is closing now up the hill.
Yeah, and again, all this squabbling and changing of position. He's only helping Van Gisbergen stretch his legs further out front. AJ's tyres, I think, are done, and he gets out of the way of Ty Gibbs. That lets him go. There's no point fighting at the moment with less grip under you. Smart racing from AJ Allmendinger, steps out of the way, and he'll probably be stepping to pit road this time around, I would imagine.
So Gibbs up to third, now has Allmendinger between he and Zilich in what will be the two lead cars when and if the pit stops eventually cycle around. Because if a caution were to come out, normally in this situation, Matt, a caution would be the worst thing possible for Shane and Michael and AJ. But honestly, if a caution comes out now, it really wouldn't be a backbreaker for them because everyone else would probably follow them down pit road.
Yeah, you're probably right. If it goes any longer, then it's going to fall into the lap of everybody having to come for tyres. And we've seen how much the tyres fall off on what was the first stage, 20 laps, and we were struggling at the end of that. We're at 26 laps to go now. 25 once the leader gets back to the stripe. So, yeah, I think you're probably right. If there wasn't to be a caution in the next 3 or 4 laps, then potentially we'll see everybody coming down.
So I would think, with that in mind, Stephen Doran is probably just going to leave Shane Van Gisbergen out as long as he can without running him out of fuel. And just keep building the gap as much as he can. Same for Michael McDowell, same for AJ Allmendinger, and try to catch a caution. This is kind of the opposite of what it was for Ty Gibbs in Mexico City last summer.
Yeah, exactly right. And we'll have to wait and see how the next sort of 10 minutes of this race plays out, because it could be key. 25 laps to go for Van Gisbergen, who's in the final corner, about to put a lap on Catherine Legg.
And word on the street is apparently Catherine Legg's spin happened through contact from Josh Bilicki, is the word that we just got. So perhaps Bilicki and Legg had a coming together. So now
McDowell
Gibbs, McDowell just came down pit road from second. That puts Gibbs and Zilich together in second and third. Allmendinger stayed on the racetrack this time around. The Go Bowling Chevrolet Camaro for Spire Motorsports on pit road, and away is McDowell. They needed a clean stop. Looked like they got it for the 71. He'll rejoin the racetrack with 25 laps to go and fresh tires to use.
We'll keep a track of his progress, as can you, because it'll be on the screen to see how far McDowell, how fast the 71 will be on those fresh tyres against everybody else on the older shoes, as these two young guns, Gibbs and Zilich, try to get themselves together. Now, about a second apart in second and third, trying to hunt down Shane Van Gisbergen, whose lead at the line was 5.7 seconds.
Shane Van Gisbergen, who has won 6 of his 13 career Cup Series road course starts. He's finished first or second in 8 of those 13 races. He's going to give up the first position here as Shane Van Gisbergen is called to pit road by crew chief Stephen Doran. And here he comes in his pursuit for a 7th win in Cup Series competition. He'll make his final scheduled pit stop with 24 laps to go. He was the pole sitter, so he'll be the number 1 pit stall all the way at the end of pit road. Let's go down for a report.
Into his box, SVG is here. He needs enough fuel to make it 24 more laps in regulation. A 4-timer stop here as he sees the field flying by him here in the number 1 stop. Box down and away.
So
Nemechek and
Elliott and Bowman on pit road too.
So thank you, JT. So let's wait.
And Nemechek.
Let's wait about 30 or 45 seconds here, Matt, and let timing and scoring recycle. When Shane Van Gisbergen, before he pitted, when he had the lead, his lead on Ty Gibbs was 5.2 seconds. Now we'll see where he's at positionally and how far back on the clock he is from the leaders Gibbs and Zilich, and we'll see if he'll be able to run him down on the fresh tires over the last 23 laps of this race. So we'll let timing and scoring recycle. Ty Gibbs now leads, Connor Zilich second, AJ Allmendinger third. AJ Allmendinger third, then Chase Briscoe and Austin Dillon. Yes, JT.
I can tell you that Gibbs is coming through the S's and SVG's going through the final corner.
So that is about kind of visually where they are on the track with each other. And now we'll wait until Zilich hits the Good Lord, I'm getting those two mixed up all day. We'll wait for Van Gisbergen to hit the line. He's coming out of
29.2 seconds, according to my list.
So, okay, from a 5-second lead, Matt, to 29 seconds behind. You can see bottom left of your screen, if you're watching, Van Gisbergen is 24th, 29 seconds off the lead. He lost 34 seconds in the pit stop cycle, maybe even a tick more, and now we'll see if he can make up 29 seconds over 23 laps on fresher tires. He'll need a little bit more than a second a lap.
But now, to our point about if he stays out long, then everyone will come, he's now made his final stop, and if there is a caution,
yes,
all of these guys will pit for sure. He probably won't do, and he would cycle back to the top again, and we know how fast he is on old tires. So if that was now to be the case, he's now going to have to use his speed to try and come through the field. But if he gets a yellow, that might be the break that they need.
Yeah.
SVG is told to go get most of these guys as they are saving fuel.
Yeah, and that's the other part of it. That's the other part of, bridging the gap to the leaders and all these cars that he'll be catching. A lot of them are saving fuel because we have not had any caution laps since the restart. So, well, it's kind of your classic road course game here. Fresh tires and a full fuel load is about half a minute behind the leaders who are having to save tire and fuel.
And we covered that portion of it off earlier on when I said he'd be coming back through the people that were trying to limp it to the end on just about on the fuel number. Joey Logano is back on the racetrack, by the way. He's actually just behind the race leader, but he is 15 laps down and will be credited, it looks like, with the final placed finish of the day, as long as nothing spooky happens in the next few laps. Key for Van Gisbergen, and he got out ahead of McDowell, which of course was the guy who was racing on this strategy. They should be well clear of AJ Allmendinger by the time AJ comes to the pit road, which probably won't be long.
Last lap for Shane Van Gisbergen was a second and a half faster than race leader Ty Gibbs. Said he needed a little bit more than a second a lap. He gave us a second and a half on the last lap. Can Michael McDowell stay within striking distance of him over these next few laps is a big question as well, Matt, to your point.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're just about to catch the next group of cars, which will be Cody Ware first up for SVG, and that is for 18th position, Cody Ware, when Van Gisbergen gets to him in the not too distant future. Ty Gibbs is our race leader by just over 1.5 seconds from Connor Zilic, a guy that has won his first cup race this year, holding off a man looking for his. But Gibbs now has got the 16 laps down, Joey Logano hounding the back of the race leader for no real apparent reason at all.
And he needs to pick a nice fortuitous moment for Gibbs to let Logano around. He doesn't need to be held up by Joey hounding him in a heavy braking zone. If Gibbs could let him go here out of 11, that would probably be the smartest thing for you. Kind of takes you back to Sonoma 2001 with Robbie Gordon and Kevin Harvick and how Robbie Gordon gave up that race. Gibbs really needs to let Joey go. First chance he gets, Matt, but he's not this time in turn one, because once Joey gets by him, he'll fly away with fresh tires.
Allmendinger pitting. So as I said, it won't be long before AJ comes, and he does with 20 to go. And that'll be his final stop of the day. There was another car in there. I think it might have been Chase Briscoe. No, he's third on the road, so don't worry about that. Chase has continued. There was a red flash as we were looking at the AJ car. Up the hill go the leader, or leaders, but Joey Logano making a perhaps nuisance of himself here.
Yeah, Logano running
not for the first time.
Logano running, as Matt mentioned, 16 laps down in the last position. Still making laps just in case someone falls out of the race in the next, 4 laps. He could overtake him for points. But he is hounding the race leader, Ty Gibbs. Meanwhile, Shane Van Gisbergen that lap, 0.9 of a second faster than the leader Gibbs. He's already climbed up to 14th, has Shane. He's got Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Ty Dillon just ahead of him as Logano beats and bangs on the back bumper of Gibbs out of 11. This is the time that Ty needs to let him go. Logano gets to driver's right on the leader Gibbs on the way down to turn 1, and Gibbs will let Logano through, and hopefully the 22 can streak away from him to give Gibbs clean air on the nose, because Connor Zilic is coming at him.
Yeah, Zilic just closed in a little bit over the last couple of laps here while Logano was right up behind Ty. So not all over here for Zilic to fight things out for the lead, perhaps. Here is SVG up into 13th as he crosses the line because there's a few more people making pit stops, and he's right up behind the number 10 of Ty Dillon, who I looked like was about to move out of his way as well.
Yeah, he got around Ricky Stenhouse Jr. last lap, did Van Gisbergen. Now he'll get around Dillon, who does yield, so Van Gisbergen moves up into the 12th position. He is still 24 seconds in back of race leader Ty Gibbs. 19 laps to go. Gibbs and Zilic making their way towards turn 10. And while we are so razor-eye focused here, Matt, on Gibbs, Zilic, and Van Gisbergen deeper in the field, good time to mention Chase Briscoe running in the 3rd position has not hardly had any success on road courses. What a run he's having. Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch have both RCR cars in the top 5 right now, and Chris Buescher, who has been so consistent on these road courses here over the last few years, he's the only driver to finish top 10 in every next-gen race here at Watkins Glen. He's running top 10 here inside the final 20 laps.
Shout out to Carlson Hocevar as well, who's been one of the stars of the season, and didn't really expect to see or hear much from him today, but he is 9th ahead of Denny Hamlin. The leaders are closing up. 0.6 of a second it was at the line between the front two, and Zilic is pretty much on the back now of Ty Gibbs as they hop and bounce and weave their way through the bus stop. Van Gisbergen is, as these guys come through the carousel, Shane, the graphic is wrong. No, it isn't. He's coming out of turn 4. So it's from the exit of the carousel to turn 4 at the moment in terms of distance.
That's about 20
Matthew.
seconds. Yes, JT.
Gibbs's last lap was 75.3 seconds. SVG's was 73.2.
Yeah, chopped 2 seconds off of the lead. That last lap did Van Gisbergen, so the math is still working for Van Gisbergen right now. We told you when he pitted he needed a little bit more than a second a lap, and right now he's taking large chunks out of the lead. 17 to go as the leaders flash across the line. Zilic has some smoke boil off the right front tire of his Red Bull Chevrolet under braking to turn 1. There's been a number of drivers over the last couple of years, Matt, that's started to get pretty aggravated that they're losing these road course races to Shane Van Gisbergen. Christopher Bell has been one that's been very outspoken about it. Another one quietly has been Ty Gibbs, and a lot of that came from losing that Mexico City race that he was so close to winning last summer on Father's Day 2025. Will it be Mother's Day 2026 where Gibbs can finally triumph on a road course over SVG in the field?
Still lots to play out here in the next 16 and a half laps. We look at Van Gisbergen. He's at the top of the back straight and about to get into the top 10 cars. Carson Hocevar next on his hit list. He will quite quickly put him away as they go through the carousel, and he needs to put these guys away. He does not need to be stuck behind people for corner after corner here, because that will just be eating into the lead at the front of the field. Hocevar hangs on, but down the back straight away, SVG will look to the inside coming to turn 10. And that should be an easy move for 11th place.
And the carousel was probably the worst place for Shane to catch Hocevar at, because he had to follow him all the way through the corner. Hocevar fishtails it out of 10, but Van Gisbergen makes that pass easily, and he'll overtake the Todd Gilliland car as Gilliland peels off to pit road this lap. So that will put Van Gisbergen in the 10th position. He's now 19 seconds off the lead. That last lap stuck behind Hocevar, Matt. He's still cut 0.7 of a second off of the lead. Zilic is all over the back of Gibbs for the lead in the bus stop. If these two start racing door handle to door handle, Matt, it'll only make the job easier for Shane Van Gisbergen to get to them.
Yeah, he might be needing a favour here from his young teammate to rough up the race leader and slow them down as they came out of the carousel again. Connor was having a little sniff up the inside of the bus stop last time around. Wasn't quite close enough under braking. So now we have this fight on. It'll be 15 laps to go at the end of this one as they head towards the final corner. Gibbs holding on here in the energy drink battle for the Grand Prix of Watkins Glen, let's say.
Last time they crossed the line, Van Gisbergen was 19 seconds back with 16 laps to go. That would mean he would need 1.2 seconds a lap. Behind Shane Van Gisbergen going to turn 10, they were 3 wide with Ross Chastain, Michael McDowell, and Denny Hamlin. McDowell hustling to try to stick with Shane Van Gisbergen as much as he can, holds on to that spot. Gibbs, loosey-goosey at the top of the hill through the S's. Zilich closes in even further.
2 seconds for SVG on that last lap. The gap is 17.4 at the line. Up the back straight come the leaders. This is really exciting stuff as we head towards the final stages here. No change of position at the front there. Zilich was too far back this time going into the loop, so he will sit behind him as they go into the carousel. Van Gisbergen's got about 3 seconds or so of empty tarmac. Darrell Wallace has spun at the first corner, has backed it into one of the tyre barriers. It hasn't moved. He's waiting for a gap in the traffic to get going again, and does so. We stay green.
No caution. Wallace back pointed the right direction. Matt rightly mentioned it was 2 seconds last time for Shane, a 73.7 compared to a Ty Gibbs 75.7. Gibbs feels pressure at the back door from Connor Zilich, who clips the curbing to driver's right with the right side tires. The leaders cross the line. 14 laps to go. It's 0.3 of a second, the gap from first to second. But we're looking at the gap from first to eighth. Gibbs to Van Gisbergen. Last time was 17.4 seconds. We'll wait for Van Gisbergen to cross the line. This time it's 15.1, and he clears Chris Buescher for 7th on the way to turn 1. He was again 2 seconds faster, 2.4 to be exact.
Chase Briscoe in third position is 5 seconds back of the lead, but we're not talking about him, even though he's had a great run, because we're talking about the 97 on a kamikaze mission, it seems like here, to get as high up the field as he can. Austin Cindric is his next target, but he's 5 seconds up the road. There's a lapped car next for SVG to get around. That's Josh Balicki. He'll jump out of the way pretty smartly, you can be sure. And then the next target will be the snap-on number 2.
Van Gisbergen over the last 4 laps has cut the deficit by 5 seconds. JT.
The lap time model has SVG reaching Zilich by the end of the race. It's going to be close.
And again, we don't know how much Gibbs and Zilich has to save fuel to get to the finish as well. So this is all showing up for Shane Van Gisbergen. The cards are in his favor. He clears turn 11. The gap between he and Gibbs is the length of the front straightaway, which is about 12, maybe 13 seconds.
2.3 on the last lap for SVG as the leaders come up out of turn 3 and 4 across the bridge. Now, is Zilich going to be close enough this time as they head towards the bus stop? Gibbs was a little bit loose out of 4 there. The tyres starting to fade on the Camry. Zilich not close enough as they head towards the bus stop this time. They will bounce their way through. We look back down the hill to find a fired up number 97.
Yeah, Van Gisbergen is setting qualifying laps right now, and it's worked out well for him here on the timing map because he doesn't have to directly follow Austin Cindric through the carousel, so he won't lose much time there, and he should be in position to pass Cindric by the time they either get to 10 or 1.
Yep, he's going to be up behind him as they get towards 10. He won't be close enough to launch a move here. Might be close enough at 11 to throw one down the inside of the final corner. Shaping one up, no, didn't fancy it, and sticks in behind for the moment through the final corner. And Cindric, in fact, just pulls to the right-hand side and gives the room there to SVG. He's not in the same race. Quite literally, they're not even on the same planet. It's now under 11 seconds.
74.1 for Van Gisbergen last lap. That was 1.8 seconds faster than Ty Gibbs. He is meeting the marks that he needs to make lap after lap to close the delta between he and the lead 2, which remains Gibbs and Zilich, separated by 3 car lengths. They're going to bounce their way through the bus stop. These 2 leading the field, and honestly, Matt, I don't think they're going to win this race if it stays green because Van Gisbergen's going to catch and pass them. Their only chance might be to get a yellow and just see what happens on a late race restart with fresh tires.
Yeah, indeed so. Is Zilich close enough this time heading towards 10? Right underneath the rear wing of the Ty Gibbs car. But no, not close enough. There's a close battle going on for third, which in which they are also catching the leaders. Briscoe and Austin Dillon, they are very close together in that third and fourth place fight. Out of the final corner come the lead two, 11 to go.
Across the line, Gibbs and Zilich, nose to tail, then Briscoe and Dillon, then Kyle Busch and Shane Van Gisbergen. Zilich locks up the right front again on the approach to turn one. That'll cost him a little bit of time. Van Gisbergen is 8 seconds back, 11 laps to go. Remember when I told you a few laps ago, Matt, that the math needed him to make up 1.2 seconds a lap? He has extended himself. He only needs 0.7 of a second a lap now. Spinner off turn 10 is Josh Berry. Oh, Cody Ware has crashed in that too. That'll be a yellow. That should absolutely be a yellow. As
meanwhile,
for the lead in the bus stop, Zilich locked up the right front, getting alongside Gibbs. Did not make the pass. They're still nose to tail through the carousel. Can Cody Ware get going at turn 11?
You would assume so, because we're still green, and surely more cars would have been through that sector. Gibbs holds the lead for the moment as they head down towards where the 51 was pointing in the wrong direction. And
he has made it to the pits.
Oh, thank you, JT. He did get in. Van Gisbergen has cleared Kyle Busch, and he is zoning in on the back of Austin Dillon for fourth place.
It will be 10 laps to go when the leaders come across the line. There are some bits of debris lying on the approach to turn 11, but it is offline, basically right where the racing surface ends on the exit of 10 and the approach to 11. Van Gisbergen got past Busch on that lap. He's all over the back of Austin Dillon now. And now he's got plenty of time to make these passes and make up this time, Matt. It's not a question of if he'll get there. It's a question of if a caution will come out before he gets there.
If you haven't gone to your favourite music streaming site and queued the Jaws music, do it now, as Zilich lining up again on Ty Gibbs at the bus stop and again locks the right front. They come perilously close to the Armco on the inside there, bounce their way through. Gibbs is actually better through the corner than Zilich is. Van Gisbergen has cleared Austin Dillon for fourth place and now finds Chase Briscoe in front of him. Not for long, though.
He will have to follow Briscoe through the carousel, which will cost him a little bit of time, but not as much that'll make it too difficult to catch the leaders. Van Gisbergen slings it wide on the exit of the carousel. Now he'll find a sliver of space to the inside of Chase Briscoe at turn 10, and Shane Van Gisbergen shoots through into the third position. He is just about to the mountaintop, and he's done it nearly in record time. The leaders are across the line with 9 laps to go. Their lead on Shane Van Gisbergen continues to shrink from 3.4 seconds last lap to 3.2 seconds now with only 9 circuits remaining.
And all we're seeing from the lead two, both of them now, are smoke signals because they are locking tyres in pretty much every corner, one or the other of them. Up the hill they come. Gibbs has actually pulled away a little bit in the last little while from Zilich while we were looking at SVG making those moves. Up and over the top of the hill they come, and down the straight, Gibbs has managed to get a couple of car lengths on Zilich for the moment.
And now all clean air on the nose of Shane Van Gisbergen as Zilich was a bit wobbly coming into the bus stop. He's really messed up the entry there. Van Gisbergen gobbles car lengths up. Zilich is offline. Zilich might have a flat tire. He gets out of Van Gisbergen's way in the carousel. Shane Van Gisbergen climbs to second. Connor Zilich fades away.
Yeah, Connor might be out of rubber in his pursuit of Ty Gibbs. He's worn the tyres right off of that Chevrolet. It might be a right front flat, actually. So can Connor get it back to the pits? That's a shame if that is the case, because he had a great run going today, and that has gone away in the late laps. 8 to go. It is only a matter of time before we see a next lead change.
Zilich, I think, has come to pit road. Or, yeah, there he is. He's on pit road, Zilich. He gives up the second and third positions with 8 laps to go. On the racetrack, Shane Van Gisbergen is up the tailpipes of Ty Gibbs, the two that battled right to the end with each other in Mexico City last summer. This is not going to be much of a battle. They're struggling to get the right side of the car jacked up for Zilich, but we need to focus on the racetrack because off turn 4, here comes Shane Van Gisbergen to driver's right on Ty Gibbs. He'll have the line to the bus stop, and SVG is climbed to the mountaintop, and he is to the lead of this motor race once again.
A little wobble through turn 4 for Ty Gibbs. Well, we've seen it a few times today. He is out of rubber on that Monster Camry, and as you say, the mountain pickaxe has been put into this by Shane Van Gisbergen. He has climbed to the top, fallen to the base, and has got right back to the summit again.
So Van Gisbergen to the lead, coming to 7 laps to go. Do you pit Ty Gibbs now, Matt, right here, just in case a caution does come out?
I would have said May as well, but he could carry on here. He's not losing that much time to the guys behind him, which continues to be Chase Briscoe, Austin Dillon, and Michael McDowell has done a pretty good job himself. Here he is. We're on board with him. He's now gone a third because Briscoe and Austin Dillon have pitted. They've given it up. They won't make it to the end, and they've come to the pits.
Some of the most exciting laps of racing we've seen all season, the last 15 or 20 laps. And now Shane Van Gisbergen can streak away and just hope that a yellow does not come out, because that is quite literally the only thing, aside from a mechanical failure, that would keep him from winning this race. But what an unbelievable charge. But it's quite believable when you see who's behind the wheel of car 97.
Dillon and Briscoe did stay out. Apologies, they did not pit. They've just fallen behind. They're pedaling it to the end. Oh, we've got a slow car on the racetrack. It's Cody Ware come out of the pits.
Wow, and
but he's got damage to all corners of that car. Why was that thing sent out? For a start, it's not going to make minimum speed. For a second, he's probably going to drop debris. And for a third, he might get in the way.
Gosh, it's a very dangerous spot for cars to be running him down at double speed. And hopefully everyone's picked their way around Cody Ware safely. Further back, amidst cars that we haven't spoken about all day long, Kyle Larson and Zane Smith get around Carson Hocevar. Where is that
There's
at?
Another man trying to make it to the end.
That's at 16th.
Is Hocevar. That is, back into the teens.
And I guess everyone got around Cody Ware okay, but my goodness, that car was woefully slow. Well, just another masterclass from Shane Van Gisbergen here to close that gap and make all the passes and not make a single mistake. Now Ty Gibbs at second is going to be blown away here by Michael McDowell, Matt, because McDowell is closed up in on him very quickly, and Michael will probably make this pass on the way to turn 10, and it'll be the drivers that started first and second, running first and second towards the final 5 laps of the race.
Yeah, but what excitement we've had in between as Gibbs broadside through the end of the carousel. McDowell had to get out of the throttle, but he goes to the outside, and Ty gives him the corner as they head towards turn 10. So McDowell up to second, Gibbs back to third, and he will try all his might here to hang on for a podium finish. But with 5 laps to go, that run was absolutely... What can you say about the speed shown out of car 97 in the last 25 minutes?
For you Connor Zilic fans, off pit road, he's 28th, 51 seconds off the lead. If it stays green from here to the finish, it will not be the finish that Connor Zilic deserved from the day, much like the way it closed in at COTA. Now we turn our attention to who gets top 5s, Matt, because the RCR gang could put both of their Chevrolets in the top 5 by the finish of this one. Austin Dillon is 5th, Kyle Busch is 6th, and they're both running down the 4th place car of Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, indeed so. What a great afternoon it will be if they can get this home between these two, because Busch has closed in over the last couple of laps on these two in front of him. So this is a three-way fight for 4th, which may even become 3rd if Gibbs does really have to pedal it to the end. Through the carousel they come, which is pretty much a goat track now. It is one line down there with all the rubber debris that's everywhere. And all of these guys, you can see when looking at the pictures, compared to what Van Gisbergen was doing, these guys are all pedaling on speed and tyres to get to the end.
6 seconds the gap between Van Gisbergen and McDowell, more than 6, as a matter of fact. Austin Cindric running in 7th. We talked about him during Ones to Watch. Matt really needed a good run. Looks like, as long as things don't go sideways in the final 4 laps, that it's going to be a top 10 finish for Cindric, who of course started the day just above the Chase cut line in 15th.
Yeah, I was going to say, here's a good story for the day, is Austin Cindric being the top Penske runner. We've documented Logano's problems. We've not seen or heard out of Ryan Blaney for a while, but he is in the teens at the moment, as you can see on screen. If you're listening and watching, you can see where the 12 car is. AJ Allmendinger on his slightly different strategy. Went longer in that last phase than the other 2 guys at the front did. He's got back to 9th place. As we look up the track here from turn 10, to see the yellow banded number 97 on his way to 3 to go. And he has not slowed down.
No, he has not. By the time he reaches the line this time, the lead will be nearly 7 seconds on Michael McDowell, which again, if nothing goes sideways over the last 3 laps for him, a glorious second place finish for him and a best in show finish, I suppose, for Michael McDowell if he can get it to the line second, Matt, which would be much needed for that team. A lot of people thought that 71 team at the start of the season would be thinking chase. Right now, they're just thinking about pounding away and chipping away and getting finishes, maybe not like this, but good finishes each and every week, because it was a poor start to the season for the 71. They're 23rd in the championship. They'll make a big leap up today.
Yeah, especially compared to his teammates as well. So it really hasn't been the greatest of starts, but this will be a nice way to go into the points off week, as I keep calling it, heading to Dover next week for the All-Star race, and then the longest race of the year in 2 Sundays' time, of course, on Memorial Day for the World 600 at Charlotte.
Shane Van Gisbergen, we're being told, made up 29 seconds in 17 laps.
That averages 1.7 seconds each lap.
I mean, what more can you say? And, you know, a lot of us in NASCAR land, Matt, when Marcus Ambrose came over here, we thought, goodness gracious, first off, what kind of race car drivers are they making over there in Australia and New Zealand? And, you know, Ambrose didn't stay with us long enough and didn't win enough races for us to say he's the best road course driver we've ever seen, but just by pure talent, one of the best we've ever seen. Shane Van Gisbergen has come over and seemingly blown away everything that Marcus Ambrose has done, and he continues to creep up towards Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon and Rusty Wallace and Ricky Rudd territory on these left and right turn courses in this series. 8 top 2 finishes in 13 road course starts in the Cup Series. First or second in 6 straight. This will be the 5th time he's led the most laps in the last 7 road course races, and he's heading towards another victory. His career driver rating on road courses, Matt, is 121.5. The next closest to that is Chase Elliott, 18 rating points under him. Shane Van Gisbergen is yet again on a road course in another zip code, and now as he crosses the line, he's inside the final lap.
Yeah. I mean, Ambrose came over and he was more so in the twilight of his driving career and in lesser equipment. And we know how close everybody is in these days of road course, or in NASCAR racing, full stop, let alone road course racing, in terms of equipment, how close it is. Van Gisbergen with the peace sign out the window as he goes up through turn 3. He's not worried about the fact that he's 7 seconds clear. He's on the victory lap with the victory salute out the window already. There will still be people that, and one of them is in a prominent and very popular NASCAR podcast tonight, that will say he's not the best at this. Shove that in whatever pipe you are smoking. He has absolutely destroyed everybody today, yet again, to take what will be his second Watkins Glen victory.
He clears the carousel for the final time. He only needs to make 2 more turns cleanly. His lead on Michael McDowell is 7 seconds. Shane Van Gisbergen, once again proving why he is the best on this style of racing. Into the final corner for the final time. He's climbed the mountaintop again. Shane Van Gisbergen, king of the road, winner at Watkins Glen again. Josh Berry has found problems on the last lap. He spun in turn 1, but it's Shane Van Gisbergen across the line, winning at Watkins Glen. He will start the burnout before the second place man takes the flag.
One of his very best drives in anything I've seen him do. That was exceptional stuff. Granted, he had a much better tyre advantage and fuel for that point advantage, but he still had to go out there and do the job, and he's done exactly that. Was beaten, well beaten by Tyler Reddick at COTA earlier in the year, and put his hands up, said Reddick was the better guy on the day. No one was in the same postal code as this man this afternoon.
As good as it gets. As good as it gets. What more can you say?
Matthew.
Nothing really to say. JT?
Josh Berry losing it at turn 1, hit the third tyre pack, seems to have quite a bit of damage at the end of the race, but the tyre packs moved quite a large amount.
Tire packs that we really didn't have to talk about much today, which I think a lot of people are relieved
Which is
about.
surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, very thankful that they didn't play any part, really. And as far as we can see, the only person to hit them at any point was Darrell Wallace when he got spun into the ones at turn 1, but recovered without too much damage. What a weekend for the Trackhouse group.
Yeah.
Pole position, all cars in the qualified up the front for this race. Connor Zilic winning yesterday. A podium in MotoGP this weekend for them with Iagura at Le Mans.
Shane Van Gisbergen has run 3 races in his Cup career at Watkins Glen. He's finished 1st, 2nd, and 1st. And if only not for Chris Buescher on the final lap 2 years ago, he would have 3 wins.
Yeah, a Zilic-style sweep.
Yeah. His 7th road course win now brings him level with Chase Elliott for 3rd on the all-time road course win list in Cup Series history, just 1 behind Tony Stewart and 2 behind Jeff Gordon. Of course, when those 2 ran, they only ran 2 road courses a year, of course. But for Shane Van Gisbergen, a smoke show in New York.
Matthew, JB, check DMs 4 points.
Covering the crew down there who have come to the wall to celebrate with their driver. And now we can see how windy it is today because the smoke is enveloping the grandstand here on the front straightaway. SVG parks it on the start-finish line. And hopefully someone is clutching the rugby ball because someone in the grandstand opposite the pit lane is about to get a souvenir.
Van Gisbergen won a stage today, wins the race. He picks up 3 positions in the championship, and now he's officially back inside the chase cutoff. He moves from 19th to 16th. Climbs out of the car, salutes another great Watkins Glen crowd, and a sight that we have gotten certainly used to in the road courses, in the Cup Series, is a Shane Van Gisbergen smoke show and a rugby kick. Team out to salute their driver and celebrate with him. Trying to find the rugby ball, I'm sure.
Jamie's down there, Matthew.
Jamie Little from Fox Sports to talk to now a 7-time Cup Series winner.
Shane Van Gisbergen. There's the rugby ball. Getting it ready, Shane. He's going to sign that and kick it to the fans. Here it goes.
The kick is up. It's looking good.
And the kids got it in the front.
Oh.
Shane, you had to come in and pit. You blended in about 26
And it's second
with
down.
24 laps to go. You absolutely put on a clinic. How did you do it, especially this time in a number that means so much to you, your first time winning here in the 97?
Yeah, you're right. Unbelievable to win with 97. Yeah, Super Pole Chevy was great. Thank you to Trackhouse. We weren't very good in practice, and then qualifying was amazing. Good tweaks, and then today, so what a race car. And then Stephen made great calls. I wasn't sure how it was going to work, and then to run them down like that, very, very special to do 2 in a row.
There's Stephen right there, his crew chief. You know, you've been working on your racecraft in NASCAR, learning these ovals. That's what we primarily do. But when you come here and you get to run on road courses, how much fun is it to show everybody here what you're capable of? This is your wheelhouse.
Oh, for sure, but it's not easy. Everyone's really good. There was a lot of pressure there, and I think McDowell was good, Connor was good, Tyler Reddick. There were some really good guys and a lot of pressure. So, just stoked for these guys, to execute every facet of our game, and speechless. It's so cool.
Nice birthday present. Congratulations. Shane Van Gisbergen wins at Watkins Glen.
He came from
Just incredible what we watched, Matt, over, what was it, the last 25 laps. Well, not the last 25, about a 20-lap stretch from about 25 to go to 5 to go.
Yeah, I just so superior at this level against these guys. It makes it look fairly ridiculous at times. I get why people don't like it, but when you step back and look at the guys he's beating and the equipment that he's got and the passes he makes, most of them clean. Okay, Denny Hamlin, a little bump on the way through we just saw there, but yeah, just exemplary again, and didn't even cross my mind that is his first Cup win as a number 97 driver, because of course he was the 88 last couple of years and the 16 before that, of course, at Chicago. But yeah, it's the family number, and was hoping to get that win a lot earlier than this, but he's finally done it, and he's got, 2 chances still more during the year?
Yeah.
Here's Michael McDowell, Regan Smith, our second place finisher.
Place up and down day, had some strategy stuff going on, a little bit of everything. It's been a rough stretch for this number 71 team. How good does this result feel?
Yeah, Regan, I mean, it's great. It's great to get this Go Bowling Chevrolet in the top 5. There was moments where I thought, maybe we can hang with SVG, and it felt like he was just pacing himself off me. He'd take back off. But, in that second stage there, we got a little bit off strategy, and then we recovered well, which Travis did a great job of getting the track position when we needed it. Just not quite enough to run him down. Like I said, it's just tough, man. Second is awesome. It's great to get momentum back on our side. We needed it after a rough few weeks, but we wanted to get the victory lane. But proud of Spire, proud of my guys. They worked really hard. Happy Mother's Day to my wife and all the mothers out there. Great day. We'll build on it and hopefully get ready for Charlotte 600. And I would have liked to make that all-star race too. That would have been another plus to win.
As you were getting buried in the pack a couple times in the middle of the race there, what's going through your mind? Did you think second place was even a possibility at that point?
We restarted there 27th. I wasn't sure how that was going to work out, but we made pretty quick work to get near the top 10, and then it cycled around again, and then we got a little bit of track position. But I don't know, even if we restarted right behind SVG, if we had the pace for him. That last stop, we came out right with him, and he still had a bit of pace on us. So we got a little work to do, but it's a good building block. Our road course programs really, come around. Top 5 at Coda, top 5 at Mexico. So feel like we're building on it. We just need a little bit more.
Solid run for Michael McDowell today. Josh?
Well, best career finish at Watkins Glen for Ty Gibbs, who brings it home third. Bring me through the end of the race and that balance between trying to save and hold off the 88 while the 97 is charging, and what's going through your mind during all that?
Yeah, honestly, just a little frustrating because, I wish we could keep racing, but unfortunately just had to save some fuel there. But good to come home for third place finish. Obviously wish it was another win, but had a lot of fun today. Always fun to come to Watkins Glen. So I want to say thank you to Monster Energy. I want to thank you to my team. I want to say thank you to Oakley and my trainers Johnny O'Meara and Justin Brayton. So it was a ton of fun today. We'll just keep working hard, keep going for it, and had a lot of fun. So a lot of positives from today, and thank you, Toyota.
Your second top 5 here at Watkins Glen. I know talking with your crew chief earlier is something you guys worked on. Can you talk about the gains you were able to make here at this particular track?
Yeah, obviously, a lot of things have changed since the last race here. And I think, we've made some good changes, and I'll just keep going forward and keep working hard. It was a very fun day, very blessed and fortunate to be in this position in this car, and we'll keep working hard. We'll keep going forward, and we're excited to keep hammering down.
Third place finish for Ty Gibbs here at Watkins Glen.
We are hearing, Matthew, just quickly that Berry and Hocevar is the person who tangled with Berry at turn 1 on the last lap. So Hocevar getting involved late.
And also Christopher Bell and Darrell Wallace Jr. are having a fairly emotive conversation on pit road. And these two are not teammates, but they are in the Toyota camp with Joe Gibbs Racing in 2311. It seems like a pretty one-handed, one-way conversation with Wallace doing most of the talking. Meanwhile, the championship standings, Matt, everyone talking about Shane Van Gisbergen and what he did today. Tyler Reddick finished 5th, and he has only added 20 points to his lead on Denny Hamlin through the day from 109 to 129. We mentioned Shane Van Gisbergen. Yeah, exactly. We mentioned Shane Van Gisbergen. He picked up 3 spots. He blasting from 19th to 16th. He's back inside the chase cut. Chase Briscoe is the one that drops outside the chase. He's 6 points in back of Van Gisbergen. Terrible points day for Joey Logano, as he now drops to 18th. And as I try to do math in my head, he is now 38 points below the chase cut line. We'll hear from Austin Dillon. What a run for the 3.
First track.
Man, God is so good. We work really hard on these road races. I put a lot of effort into them to get better, and we don't qualify great. But Richard Boswell and the team, the Bass Pro Shop Winchester team, did a good job just pushing the strategy early to go hard. And we really didn't worry about tires when we short pitted, and that got us our track position at the end of the stage. And after that, we were able to maintain, and it was fun saving fuel there behind Briscoe. I probably should have pushed a little harder because I actually made it back all the way around on fuel. So I did a good job on saving fuel, which was cool. But man, so many of our partners, you know, we've been working really hard at RCR, Get Bioethanol, Dow, Bread Street, Bass Pro Shops, everybody that helps us go around. Chevrolet, we put a lot of effort into it, and it's cool that Kyle and I both are racing. He scared me into the bus stop with like 2 to go. He just gave up on saving fuel, and he ran out at the line. It was kind of fun getting him back by the line, and just good day for RCR overall. And man, happy Mother's Day to my mom, my wife. And we'll take this and take the momentum and move on.
Solid 6th place finish for Austin Dillon. Jamie?
Well, Connor Zilich ends up bringing it home 20th, but that was about the best effort we have seen from you in a cup car, battling up front most of the time. But take us through what happened, Connor, and if you know what cut the tire that took you out, essentially.
Yeah, I'm not sure, honestly, what actually cut the tire there at the end. You know, we were running on those tires for a long time, so not surprised to see it happen necessarily, but yeah, just frustrating. I mean, we had a really good day going. At worst, we were going to get ourselves our first top 5 and walk out of here with something. But, congrats to Shane, Trackhouse, everybody, ECR Engines, everybody makes this happen. It's really cool what we've built on these road courses and how fast our cars are. So cool to see him win. Had a good day in our Red Bull Chevrolet. Didn't quite end the way we wanted it to. I needed last year's race length of about 92 laps, and I probably would have been a little better. But yeah, it's what it is.
Thanks, Connor. Josh.
The fuel towards the end of the race. Talk to me about that battle there and how you were ultimately able to come away with a good finish.
Yeah, James did a really good job of putting our selves in position to kind of just maximize our day with how the start of the day went. So yeah, it's tough whenever you're trying to save and then you're trying to run hard enough so all those guys at pit don't catch you, but I could see the leader, so you want to go. So yeah, it was tough there trying to manage all that. Plus your tires are just all over the place. So yeah, I felt like we had just a solid day for our Mobile One Toyota. So hopefully can build on this, and just need a little bit more. We just weren't great kind of all day long, and just lacked a little bit. So yeah, I need to go back to the drawing board and see if we can figure something out. But yeah, overall, just a great day for us.
Back-to-back top 5s here at the Glen for Briscoe Regan.
Weekly occurrence that we're talking to Tyler Reddick after a top 5 finish. Another solid result for this 45 car. How was your day?
It was mostly a really good day. Unfortunately for us, after that final caution there, we just fired back off, and we'd been able to kind of match with Shane, and that one in particular, just something was not right. Doesn't seem like we had a problem with the tires or whatever, but just didn't fire off good, and we started bleeding really, really bad, and just fell behind the cars on new tires, and we're kind of in a bad spot there, just losing a lot of track position. So we decided to pit, and it put us in a spot where we have to make the tires last a long time, but we were able to grab some fresh air, and when cars did come back out that ran longer, we were way ahead of them, and just got fortunate getting through slower cars quick and catching some of the guys at the end that were running out of fuel. So for as bad as we were free falling there in stage 3, for this Jordan brand Camry to come home 5th, gotta be pretty happy with it.
All right, Tyler Reddick grinds it out for a top 5 day.
And you can both check your DMs on Twitter, as I have sent you the onboard from the Berry Host Fight incident if you want it.
Well, and we've also seen onboard replays, Matt, of the Cody Ware crash, which was quite a savage hit into the wall to driver's right at turn 11, and quite stunned that did not bring out a yellow, actually.
Yeah, he got elbowed aside by somebody. It was a group of cars that he was racing with coming out of turn 10 and got elbowed aside and hit the end of the tyre barrier. Fairly substantial hit. And if that had been the leaders battling and that had been caught on camera and whatnot, then that would have been an instant caution. I'm not quite sure what the difference is, but very surprised that didn't bring us a yellow flag. Good to see that Cody was okay, mind you, and got the car back running again.
Yeah, so Cody Ware with a big hit late in this race, which has been won by Shane Van Gisbergen, as he scores another road course victory. Again, at the top of the championship standings, Tyler Reddick started the day. His lead on Denny Hamlin was 109 points. He'll exit Watkins Glen with a 129-point lead in the championship. Talking about the RCR cars, they had a chance for a double top 5. They don't get that, but they do get a double top 10, with Austin Dillon finishing 6th and Kyle Busch 8th. The great AJ Allmendinger separating those two to finish 7th. Another tweet about that there, Matt. Just incredible. Just incredible, the things that come out.
From the same person?
From the same person, yes. It is in the it is in a group chat. Also worth mentioning, Connor Zilic finished 20th, and you know what, Matt? Shane Van Gisbergen did not win everything today, because on fresh tires with 5 laps to go, Connor Zilic took away fastest lap from him.
Sorry, I was reading the tweet. Say that again.
Shane Van Gisbergen did not win everything today, because on fresh tires with 5 laps to go, Connor Zilic did swipe fastest lap away.
Oh, well, there's something to take away for Connor then, who seemed slightly disappointed in that interview, but was kind of is what it is. He was trying his hardest to run down Ty Gibbs there at the end and just run out of tyre. So it's a shame he didn't get the result that, much like at Kota, he didn't get the result that his run and his speed deserved.
Final thoughts and driver of the day voting. I'm going to start on driver of the day right here, because obviously the driver of the day was Shane Van Gisbergen. But I'm going to go with John Hunter Nemechek, Matt, who comes away with a 10th place finish at Watkins Glen. Good on you, JHN.
Yeah, fair shout, especially considering he was in the air quotes controversy of last week. I will not pick the actual driver of the day, and he's probably the second best driver I've ever seen him do. I will pick Chase Briscoe as my driver of the day, on the bubble again, or continues to be sort of in and around that bubble, and comes home with a great finish on the alternate strategy.
And if we did team of the day, which we don't, but if we did, we'd go RCR, yes, 6th and 8th for
yeah,
Dylan
probably
and Busch.
over Trackhouse, who were the highlight of the day, but they didn't get finished as a team. Chastain was out a bit towards the end as well, so RCR definitely the team of the day.
Yeah, Zilic 20th, Chastain 27th. Another takeaway from the day, Matt. I mean, we talked zero, zilch, none about Hendrick Motorsports. The highest finishing Hendrick car, Kyle Larson, in 23rd.
Yeah. A rethink will need to come. That's going to be a somber get-together tomorrow or Tuesday, whenever they sit down and have their competition meeting in the week for those guys. Because not a good day at all. And none of them ran up front at any point. I think Byron was just outside the top 10 when he had his spin. That was as high as he got. Obviously had the damage. But we didn't see Chase Elliott at all. We only mentioned Alex Bowman when he was fighting at the back end of the field with somebody.
Yeah, and you can't say it was by fluke, because they all finished, the 3 that finished without issue, all finished together. Larson 23rd, Elliott 24th, Bowman 25th, and then Byron, who had an issue, 3 laps down in 36th. That's wow. Final
Matthew.
thoughts. Yes, go ahead, JT.
Look in your DMs for a massive hit for Cody Ware. It was a lot bigger than we seemed.
Right, yeah, we saw that earlier. A huge hit from Cody outside of turn 11. Final thoughts from this one, Matt. First final thought: 2.5 hour race. What time is it again?
Yeah, wonderful stuff at 7 minutes past 11. This happens when we race under 250 miles. Maybe they should do that at Talladega. Anyway, final thoughts. Another great road course race without it going silly, as has happened. All that talk and uproar about the tyre bundles on Friday and the wall at the exit of the carousel, absolute non-factor. Just proves yet again that drivers can drive within the white lines if you ask them to do so, or make them do so in this case. But what a drive from the race winner. Just incredible. I know he had fresher tyres and everyone else was trying to save fuel, but that's what you've got to do when you're on the alternative strategy. He and the team put that driver in a box and said, okay, this is what we want you to do. And he went, yeah, okay. And he did it with 7 laps to go and won by 8 seconds. Not a problem.
Again, in the laps where he was chasing down, and then in the immediate laps after making the pass for the lead, 29 seconds in 17 laps. I mean, what are we doing? Next time we go to a road course, which will be San Diego, where no one's run, NASCAR should really mandate that he has to run that race the way that they made Connor Zilic run the Phoenix Championship race last year with his hands tied behind his back and blindfolded, and maybe everyone else will have a chance.
You say that, but Shane has been crucial in the design of the racetrack at San Diego and has been on the sim, making sure that it's going to be okay. So he's got far more knowledge than everybody else already, and that race is still 2 months away.
So Shane Van Gisbergen winning again. That'll be Father's Day weekend in San Diego. He's won on Mother's Day weekend in Watkins Glen. Not sure when Mother's Day falls in Australia and New Zealand, but
September, I believe.
Oh, of course, sure. So it's Shane Van Gisbergen who gets the win this afternoon. Always happy to see Michael McDowell with a good finish, and as he comes home second. Next up for the NASCAR Cup Series, it is what they're calling an all-star race up in Dover, Delaware, next Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That race will be on this channel next Sunday with someone covering it, not us.
Apparently it's today.
Okay.
Apparently Mother's Day in Australia is today.
Okay. Well, oh my God, look at there. So
maybe it's Father's Day that's in September then. I can't quite remember.
Yeah. So the All-Star race at Dover next Sunday here on the channel with, to be determined cast covering that for you. The next points-paying race for the Cup Series will be the Coca-Cola World 600 at Charlotte on Memorial Day weekend. That's a night race, so is the next race at Nashville on May 31st. So, Matt, we'll see you again, presumably, for Michigan on June the 7th.
Yes, I haven't looked further past the calendar than Indianapolis in a couple of weeks' time. I will take your word for it. That we will be the two of us will be getting together up north again, not so far away from where we are right now, in Michigan in a few weeks' time.
But never fret, you don't have to go multiple weeks without hearing Matt White's dulcet tones, because Matt, we'll take
you get lots of it next weekend.
We'll take a few days off, and how about what do you say we meet up in a pagoda next weekend?
Sounds like a plan, my friend. One of our most favourite weekends of the year. Indianapolis 500 qualifying all day on Saturday, all afternoon anyway, on Saturday, and then we'll be back on Sunday to determine who is going to take home the pole position trophy.
Now, we are super, super excited for that. Month of May got started yesterday with a terrific victory for Christian Lundgaard in the Indy GP, and we are super excited for next week. 2 days of qualifying and the build-up for the 110th running of the 500. So for everyone here, for JT, did a great job behind the scenes as always. For Matt White, Matthew Owen signing off from Watkins Glen, New York, where the winner once again is Shane Van Gisbergen. He is the king of the road. We will see you throughout the week for hockey and basketball, and next weekend for Indy 500 time trials for the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500.